Hello, this is the fourth and final part of Welcome to Heaven by Neon Zangetsu. Link will be in the description. All author's notes have been removed between chapters. Also, any explicit NSFW scene will be removed. This part will cover chapter 29 to 38. Welcome home, Tilda. No, seriously, welcome back. Thing is, a lot happened while you were away. Tilda. A Fool's Errand, Part 1. Naruto expected many things when he finally came downstairs with Verosika. Chaos, maybe a few bloodstains, perhaps a broken window or two. Kurama snoring on the couch, Nidhi was not one of them. Kinda kinky, if he was being entirely honest with himself. Also kinda concerning, somewhat more so given her state of undress. Heat crept up the back of his neck, and for good reason. She was literally wearing a towel and nothing else, clutching a large and empty bottle of wine in her right hand. Tails sprawled out beneath her like one giant blanket. He inhaled in an attempt to calm himself, only to wince as the telltale scent of alcohol burned the back of his throat. The hell did I miss? Verosika clicked her tongue for an altogether different reason. Those tits have no right to be that perky when she's lying down. Naruto chopped the back of her head. Bah! Oh, you mean her? Said Succubus leaned into him as she gestured toward the snoring Kitsune. Foxy over there started knocking him back after you went upstairs. She was pretty hammered by the time we watched Loot fall. Right, he nodded, words not quite registering. That makes sense. Wait, you watched what? Shit, was I not supposed to say that? He seized the sullen succubus by the face and squeezed her cheeks, squashing her visage between his thumb and forefinger. Explain. Yeah, no. She smirked up at him, unfazed by his bluff. Dunno how it works up there, but down here snitches get stitches. Ordinarily, he would have humoured her a bit longer. Unfortunately, he hadn't the patience to beat around the bush. Is that so? His free hand seized her tail and held it up between the two of them with intent. Her eyes widened. From there, he released her face and set a finger to the tip of said tail, holding it there now before she could think to try and snatch it back. Sure, some might call this cheating on his part, downright unfair even. Her preferred the term expediting negotiations. Don't knock it until you've tried it. Sure enough, all semblance of colour drained out of Verosika's pink visage, leaving her face positively pale. Hey now! Let's not be hasty. Naruto traced his finger across her tail slowly. Tell me what I want to know, and this doesn't get messy. Oh, come on, do I have to? Her voice rose in a tiny plaintive whine. It's gonna ruin my street cred. I'm sorry. He ran a finger down her tail's length, lingering over its tip. Did you say something? Verosika shivered, resolve weakening as he fondled her appendage. I said, oh, fuck! How the turns tabled. He couldn't quite hide his smile. What's wrong? You're quivering. Her eyes were going glazed, but she tried to rally. Shut up! Alas, it was a lost cause. She was doing a great deal more than that quivering. Already she was biting her lip and she could see her rubbing her thighs together. Oh, she was trying to be subtle about it, but they both knew he had her by the short hairs. A tail really was a succubi's weak point. He'd remember that. Time for the coup de grace. Sarah would understand. Hopefully. Adopting what he hoped was an intimidating smirk, he took the tip of Verosika's tail and pointed it to his mouth. Last chance. She made a noise torn somewhere between a gasp and a hiss. Nice try. You wouldn't dare. You don't got the guts. Trying to call his bluff, was she? Poor choice of words. He bit her tail ever so gently. Bluff blown. Verosika clamped a hand over her mouth to muffle the moan that followed. She didn't entirely succeed, nor was she able to stop herself from crumpling to her knees before him. Her free hand made one last feeble grasp at his tunic when she went down, which only left her leaning against him instead, making little noises of need. Oops, might have overdone it. Just a little. Fuck me! The sultry succubus tried to stand, only for her legs to betray her as a fresh spasm rocked her body. All right, I give. Velvet did it. The words came babbling out of her when he tugged at her tail again. She used some techno mumbo-jumbo to piggyback heaven's airwaves so we could watch your little stunt upstairs. That's all I know, I swear. Now that made sense. He didn't exactly understand the tech jargon, but if anyone could pull off a stunt like that, it'd be the V's. Note to self, have a word, several loud ones, with Velvet the next time he saw her. That a girl. He patted Verosika's head and tousled her hair, which wasn't all that difficult given she was practically kneeling at his feet. Was that so hard? She didn't respond. Or rather, she simply couldn't. She was too busy gasping for breath. Fair? He tried using her nickname in an attempt to rouse her. You good? Still no response. Well, that wasn't concerning at all. Had he broken her? He tried stroking her horns, seeking to elicit a response. Errors were made, to be fair, they were entirely his. The moment he made contact, her head snapped up, pink hearts gleaming in her eyes. Clothes off now! Verosica surged upright with a ferule, clawing at him, forcing him to catch her by the wrists lest she'd tear him out of his robes then and there. Even then it was a near thing. She hissed and snarled and bit at him, thrashing in his grasp like a madwoman for what felt like an eternity. Finally, realizing it was futile, she huffed angrily and stomped down on his foot. "Brutal blonde bastard!" she growled into his shoulder, flawed fingers biting against him, getting me all hot and bothered just to leave me high and dry. There, he stroked the small of her back. I'll make it up to you. Promise. Her tail curled around his leg as she nuzzled his chest. You'd better. Now come on, let's get going before everyone wakes up and realizes you're here. He quirked a brow. Is that a good idea? Definitely not, she replied, giving him a selfish squeeze. But I don't feel like sharing right now, and I need to grind my ex's face in the dirt like the little bastard he is. She was still speaking when one of Kurama's many tails struck like a serpent from behind, coiled tight around the length of his waist and violently yanked him out to her grasp. In an instant, his worldview shifted, and he found himself gazing into a pair of sleepy scarlet slits, still bleary from slumber. Damn. Oh, hey, she yawned, squeezing him tightly. I'm still dreaming. Come to Mama. She drew him in closer with intent. Surely she wasn't gonna... She was gonna... Wait a sec. A fiery kiss followed, hungry and passionate, stealing his breath away, leaving the inside of his mouth decidedly bruised. Breathless, he tried to speak but managed only a dazed noise. That prompted her to draw him in for a second kiss, then a third, followed by a fourth, and by then he couldn't help himself anymore either. His hands rose to cup her hips through the thin towel she wore, and oh God, she was already trying to wriggle her way out of it, pushing herself against him with a whine, and Verosica made angry Verosica noises behind them and stomped a foot, ruining the moment. Oh, come on. I can't have him for 5 minutes without you interrupting. Try and take him from me then. Wait. Ultimately, that was awoke Kurama. She did a double take, realizing that she was not, in fact, still dreaming. Eh? Naruto waved back at her. Hey, honey. Kurama blinked hard. Then, oh shit! The kitsune yelped in surprise, placed 2 fingers in her mouth, formed a V-shape with them, and whistled sharply. A singular piercing note filled the hotel. Naruto winced even as Verosica plugged her ears. What was that for? You trying to wake everyone up? Evidently so, because on the floors above, a number of doors slammed open. Everyone descended all at once. There was no escape. Almost instantly, Naruto found himself swarmed by the more excitable members of the hotel, Charlie chief among them. Or she should have been. He couldn't help but notice her absence, Vaggies as well. He had all of an instant to comprehend that before Nifty was on his face, pulling his hair. The bad boy's back! He plucked her off him with a sigh. Hey, Nif. Long time no see. Did you have fun while I was away? Her lone eye creased in malevolent mirth as she dangled from his hands. Lots? Did you stab anyone? She slumped with a sigh. No, it's been a slow day. Do me a favor and shank Velvet when she gets back. Right in the ass. The little hellion tilted her head, ever eager to stab, but quietly curious as to why. Has she been bad? Very much so. He knew just what to say. Apparently she planted a bug on me. Her eye widened with a horrified gasp. Bugs are bad. They certainly are. He set her down on Kurama's bosom, much to the latter's annoyance. Hop to it. Nifty scuttled over her in an instant, cackling all the while. I'll get my clean knives. To understand the way her mind worked. Oh, welcome back, General. Sir Pentious slithered up to them next, and, much to his amusement, snapped off a salute, like the good boy he undoubtedly was. We had a code red while you were away, sir. Emily was nearly accosted by the Vesis. Wait, why was he calling him General? No, never mind that. He'd said code red, hadn't any? That implied Vox or Vox-adjacent shenanigans, which he'd anticipated due in no small part to Velvet's warning. Did you follow my instructions? Pentious saluted a second time with a fanged smile. Yes, sir. Angel Dust sauntered over the bar, chuckling under his breath. Boy, did he ever tild. It's all over the news. I've got that shit saved on my phone. News? Naruto tilted his head. What news? What exactly happened while I was gone? Kurama snorted in wry amusement, quite content to remain at rest beneath him, and promptly regaled his ears with what had happened, including the intrusion and subsequently violent ejection of said television head from the hotel premises. Once the tale was told, Naruto looked her way, wishing he could have seen it for himself. Tell me you got that on camera. Pentious waved the device in question. Most certainly. He patted him on the back, pleased by his progress more than the tool he'd given him to use against Vox. Good job, soldier. Now where's Emmy? Husk flung a bottle of whiskey his way, forcing him to catch it and hand it off to Kurama. On your left. Distracted as he was, the blonde finally heard it, then, or rather her. Namely the rapid fluttering of wings. Na tilde ru, tilde to tilde. Speak of the angel and she shall appear. He'd only just caught the last syllable there when a brilliant comet of lavender and lilac swooped down from the second floor at top speed. Looking back, he wouldn't have dodged even if he could. He was struck head-on in a flying tackle. The results went about as well as one might expect. Hurricane Emily blasted him clean off Kurama, bowled him head over heels, and left him sprawled out on his back across the floor. Eyes spinning in his head, he struggled to take stock of by accident or happenstance. Emily landed directly in his lap, making for a rather compromising position. I'm so glad you're back. Close. She was way too close. Since when was she this forward? Bright eyes alight, she made a giddy noise and leaned forward. To shove a bunch of papers in his face? Look it, she crooned, utterly unaware of her presently inappropriate position. I sketched up so many ideas while you were away and got them all approved by Charlie Tilda. That was great and all, but he felt like he was missing something here. Or rather someone. Several someones. Pushing them back, he struggled to sit up. Wait a minute, where is Charlie? Emily leaned back with a happy chirrup. She went out with Vaggie. Now then, why did those words concern him far more than they should? About that, Verosica. Rather than shoo the innocent seraphim off his legs and take her place like a proper succubus would, simply chose to sit on his chest instead, further pinning him to the floor once more. After her pop started kicking Lute around the pride ring like a soccer ball, she was kind of panicking, so Vags took her out on the town to distract her from what her old man was doing. The main door smashed open, kicked down by a black boot. I have returned, Tild. Speak of the devil himself. Morningstar strode in. C sauntered grinning from ear to ear, holding something in his hand. Oh, hey! He took note of Naruto's pinned form, and that grin threatened to split his face. There you are. Good timing. Thought you might want to meet my new pet. Pet? Naruto tried to raise an arm, only for Kurama to crawl off the couch and cling to it. Oh, hey, Lucy. Charlie's father was much as he'd left him, sans the smug smile and some dirt on his coat. He looked to the left and noticed what he was holding. Or rather, who it was attached to. Seeing Lute on a leash had not been on his bingo card today, and wearing a golden collar. On all fours like a dog, no less. Well, 3, given she'd lost an arm. Naruto bit his lip. Don't laugh. Mustn't laugh. Angels didn't rejoice in the pain of others. Do. Not. Laugh. It certainly didn't help that Lute looked downright demonic now, a sure sign of her fall. But what he didn't understand was just how quickly it happened. He took stock of the black horns on her head, her sharpened teeth, fingernails tipping off into claws. If it weren't for her pale skin and golden eye, you never would have known she used to be an exorcist. Even her hair was a ragged mess. She dragged a hand through her pale tresses as he looked on, covering her remaining eye, as though she couldn't bear to look at him and absolutely hissed. You? Me? He pointed at himself with his free arm, still very much pinned down by Emily, Verosica and Kurama alike. What about me? Lute clambered to her feet, lone eye blazing, and he was amazed Lucy let her. You planned this, didn't you? Planned what? Verosica crossed one leg over another, making no attempt to conceal her mirth. Honey, have you looked in a mirror? Emily tented her fingers. Oh dear. Kurama laughed at her outright. What goes around comes around, bitch, Tild. I will end you. Up. Lucy tugged on her leash, hauling her back like a dog in heat. Bad girl. Sit. Lute did just that, looking like she'd been spanked, but he wasn't finished reprimanding her. Have you ever thought it might be your own fault? Morningstar tutted as he reached down and pinched her cheek for good measure, drawing a growl from her. You have a nasty habit of writing checks your tush can't cash and picking fights you can't win. Must have gotten that from Adam. He's 10 times the angel you ever were. Emily looked away. Will, Morningstar put a pin in that. Honey, I could spank him with both arms tied behind my back. Now cool your head, or so help me, I will gag you. Verosica raised a hand. Can I do it? Who are you again? Lute subsided with a snarl. There's a good girl. Keep that up and I'll give you a treat. Later. Angel Dust cackled in the background. Lute seethed silently. So, Naruto. Just like that, said Blonde found himself in Morningstar's ire once more. Let's get down to business. Kurama cracked her neck. You sure you want to discuss something like that with little Miss Anger Management issues around? Fair point. Oi, bellhop, I know you're eavesdropping. Craning his neck, he looked over his shoulder, glaring into the gloom by the door. Do me a favor and take this puppy for a walk, would ya? The shadows shifted. I told you it's host, not bellhop. Alistair materialized from the darkness, as though he'd been there all along, cane in hand, clad in his red suit, wearing his customary smile. Then again, it must be rather difficult to remember things these days, given your advanced age. He tilted his head, eyes creasing just so. How terribly sloppy. Charlie must be so proud of her forgetful father. What-oh? Morningstar inhaled deeply and exhaled forcefully. Sloppy. Naruto winced, suddenly glad he was prone on the floor and very much out of the way. Alastor had just pressed the Charlie button. You shouldn't have did that. Even he didn't press the Charlie button these days. Charlie wasn't around to stop them. Not this time. And to think he'd forgotten the popcorn. For shame. Sure enough, Morningstar snarled and out came the horns and the flames with all 6 wings besides. Sloppy? Ho 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 ho, I'll show you Sloppy, you tacky piece of... Say what you would about the radio demon, but he didn't lack for courage. The man genuinely gave no fucks that, or he had balls of steel. Possibly both, because he immediately grinned at Lucy and brandished his cane, grinning ear to ear. By all means, if you can. Could he, though? According to Lucy, the rules binding him were kinda murky when it came to self-defense. He should know, he'd asked Sarah while he was upstairs. Technically speaking, Morningstar could defend himself when facing a sufficiently powerful individual, which, again, Alistair technically was at the moment given his status. You know what? Morningstar snarled. Aren't you 7 years out of practice? Maybe that's why they call this place the Hazbin Hotel. Alistair leered down at him. Aha, so you have heard of me. And I'll have you know the name was actually my idea. Morningstar laughed right back. Ha ha ha, well, it's not very clever and neither are you. Ha ha, fuck you. They butted heads and snarled at one another. Verosica gulped as atmosphere grew oppressive and shadows began to writhe against fire. Shouldn't somebody stop them? Pentious promptly threw himself behind the nearest couch. Duck and cover! Husk and Angel Dust exchanged a dual glance and instantly joined him. Lute shrank back into a corner, as far as her leash would allow. Kurama sat up with a sigh. We taking bets here, brat? Naruto briefly considered doing so, then thought better of it. Wasn't any fun when he knew who would win, you know? Sure, Alastor was probably the most powerful sinner in all of hell, since Kurama didn't consider herself one, but sinners had limits. Angels, yeah, not so much. Lucy had a fairly high skill threshold there. Fallen or not. Should he help? Yes. Was he going to? Nope. Did he enjoy watching this? Most definitely. Huh. Maybe all this time the underworld was affecting him after all. Gotta watch that. Wait! Emily sprang up and squirmed between the duo before they could come to blows. No fighting in the hotel, please. We just finished repairing that wall. Alistair glanced down at her and tutted, anger faltering, albeit briefly. Stand aside, little dove. We've business to conduct. Emily most assuredly did not move. She crossed both arms over her bosom, planted her feet, and didn't budge. Morningstar, for his part, merely sighed in annoyance. You're not gonna move, are you? Emily shook her head. Creator, it's like looking at a mini Sarah. Naruto perked up, his interest piqued all over again. Wait, Sarah had been like this when she was younger? He needed details. Now! Charlie's father bristled, but one look at the small seraphim quelled his rage. His horns vanished as his wings receded. Fine, you've made your point. What do you say, bellhop? Rain check? Host. Alastor's smile was all teeth. And yes, for now. Yeah, whatever. He handed over Lute's leash. Do me a favor and take the pup outside for a bit. Don't want her eavesdropping. And why should I care? Because I absolutely can and will kick your ass, Alistair tutted. You'll have to do better than that, my good man. Lute looked between the two of them, unable to decide which was worse. The King of Hell shrugged a shoulder, not particularly caring. Tell you what, I'll owe you a favor. Aha, Tilda. Alistair's grin gained a gleam as he practically snatched Lute's leash from his grasp. Why didn't you say so before Tild? In that case, it would be my pleasure to babysit your pet Tild. Lute balked. Pet? Come along, dear, the adults are talking Tild. Hey, now wait just a second. I said stop! Unhand me. You damn dirty sinner. She tried to resist to no avail. Morningstar's collar left her powerless to do anything but whine and dig her feet in. Fat load of good it did her. For his part, Naruto winced as he watched Alastor haul her out the hotel by force. Concerning. The radio demon had changed his tune far too quickly for his liking just now. As though he'd gotten exactly what he wanted. Logic dictated that he say something to Lute, warn her even. But he didn't care enough to. If she was stupid enough to make a deal, so be it. Wait, was that Lucy's intent? Surely not. He seemed to be the only one in the room who cared enough to notice. Someone really ought to say something. Not that he would. He wasn't down here to be her minder. He'd already given Lute every chance to change upstairs. And she hadn't. He'd offered her friendship and she spat in his face. It was up to her to redeem herself. Assuming she even wanted to. If not, she'd die down here. And while he shouldn't care, he kinda did. Emily winced, perhaps sensing his train of thought. I'll just make sure Al doesn't do anything to her, yeah? Could you? Sure thing. Be right back. She chirruped happily, gave him a quick squeeze, and took off after the duo. Naruto watched her depart with a wistful sigh. Truly, Emily really was too pure for this world. Alas, he had no more time for thoughts of her as Morningstar rounded on him anew. So, his smile was entirely too strained for the blonde's liking. A sure sign of the stress he'd been concealing until this very moment. The Sins want to meet you. I thought we agreed to keep a low profile, Whatever happened to that? Naruto flinched and got defensive despite himself. This from the guy who just kicked a fallen angel around the pride ring? An angel that you caused to fall in the first place. Oh dear. He was actually upset about this. With a put-upon sigh, he wriggled free of Kurama and sat up, knowing he was in for a tongue-lashing. I can explain. Morningstar swept a fist out and obliterated a nearby wall. Please do. Husk sighed the sigh of a damned man. I'll tell Alistair. Naruto scarcely heard him. His temper was rising as well. It wasn't as though he'd planned that business with Lute. His focus had been Syrah and then later Adam. The exorcist had been, well, he didn't want to call her a bystander or a casualty of war, but in a way she'd was. He hadn't given a flying fig about her until she deliberately demanded a duel, and even then he'd offered her every compromise he could consider at the time, not to mention countless chances to yield. But she hadn't. Instead, she'd kept pushing despite his warnings. He'd been left with no choice. Setting his jaw, he crossed both arms before his chest stood his ground, saying as much. Don't give me that look. She brought it upon herself. I don't doubt that, but taking an eye and tearing her wings off. She blinded herself! Morningstar wasn't so usually dissuaded. Vaggie freaked the fuck out! They were fighting before I butted in. At that, Naruto admittedly winced. All right, I didn't think she'd chase her down. I'll apologize for that, but not the rest. You literally made an angel fall. He bit his tongue to stifle an instinctive reply. Don't mention Syrah. Do not mention Syrah. Whatever you do, do not mention Syrah. Again, not my fault. Lute went crazy. How was I to know the Sins were watching for something like that? Lucy grabbed his wrist. Then you won't mind meeting them now. Just a second. Verosica clung onto his other arm and glared daggers at her king. Hey, I called dibs on him. Technically speaking, I called him first while he was upstairs. Not today, please. Naruto tore both arms free, simultaneously raising a hand to ward off his fellow angel and hold the succubus down before she could get ahead of herself. I just got back. You're not dragging me into a meeting with Wrath and the rest until I've had at least a day to rest. Tomorrow, then? Lucy! All right. The Lord of the Underworld capitulated with a wince. This weekend. Bring Kurama too. The kitsune balked. Why me? He pinched her cheek. Because you punched a hole in heaven. Not on purpose. Still did it. She huffed and looked away. I'm not a sinner. I don't see how it involves me. Lucy changed tact in an instant. If you go, you'll get to insult the sins to their face. I'm coming, Angel cackled in the background. Kinky Tilda. Morningstar clapped his hands. Great, okay, I'll set it up. Although you might want to wear something. More than what you've got on now. Kurama caught him in her tails, squeezed him like a plushie, and dragged him close for good measure to glare at him. What was that? Lucy quirked an eyebrow. Clothes, sweetie. You need to wear them. Preferably a bra, too. Kurama bristled, gone red-faced with righteous indignation. Say that again. What, a bra? Girls wear them all time, not to mention Thump! Tilda, Charlie Morningstar paused. I sense a disturbance in the force. And had she felt the pride ring shake just now? Less talking, more shopping, hun. A flowing scarlet dress was handed her way, distracting her. Here, try this on. Oh, Vaggy Tilda, she crooned happily, clutching the silky fabric to her chest. That's my favourite colour, Tild. How did you know, Tild? A hand patted her head. Babe, you always wear red. She touched a finger to her cheek. Do you think Naruto likes red? The fallen angel recoiled. Yeah, no, not touching that subject with a 10-foot pole. Charlie granted her girlfriend an innocent blink. But you asked earlier, she sputtered. And I'm not asking now. Then why are you blushing? I am not. Aha, Tilda. Charlie rounded on her with a giddy squeal, eyes gleaming. You are. Here. Pivoting, she snatched a different sort of dress from the rack and handed it off to her girlfriend. Try this on. It's amber. Isn't that another word for orange? Charlie whistled less than innocently. Maybe, Tilda? Vaggy made indecisive Vaggy noises. Charlie! Tilda, it took Verosica an hour to finally get that damn angel out the hotel and to herself. Even less to bring him all the way downtown to where she knew Blitzo worked. By then, she'd begun to question herself. She couldn't help it, all right? Sure, having an angel fly you around the Pride Ring was nice and all, as was the wind in her hair, but that just meant they would arrive sooner and, well, she was beginning to have doubts. Not about herself, never that, but that this would. Blitzo was, in her eyes, a proper prick. A selfish imp on the streets and in the sheets. Would he even care? And why did she want to hurt him so badly? Stupid question, that one. She knew why. Because he'd meant something. Everything to her once upon a time. Because she thought she might have a life with him. Because she misunderstood him, failed to see what he was really like until it was too late. And by then, he was gone, leaving her life in ashes. She'd given him everything without a second thought, held nothing back, until she herself had nothing left to give. Nothing but pain. Hell hath no fury like a succubus scorned, and he'd scorned her bad. So screw him. She wanted to make him hurt in the worst way. Maybe then she'd finally feel better. So this Blitzo fella, Naruto raised his voice to be heard over the wind as they homed in on their destination. What did he do, exactly? More like what didn't he do? Verosica leaned into his arms. Bastard didn't even realize he was giving her the famed Princess Carrie, and began to count down off her fingers while speaking rapidly. Ran off. Left me to pay for the hotel, stole my car, ran 3 rings to Wrath and maxed my credits out on shitty horse riding lessons. That sounds strangely specific. Because it freaking happened. Her tail lashed at the air. He's a bag of dicks. Naruto sighed. Vet, do you have to swear so darn much? Yes, why? She glared up at him, feeling defensive. Got a problem? He looked down on her, literally since he was freaking carrying her, and granted her a small, sad smile. I just don't like seeing you sad. Gah! Gut punch. Right in the tits, straight to her black heart. She was trembling. Damn it all. How unlike her. Naruto nudged her. Do you know what caused it? She tucked her head into his chest. I did. Naruto didn't respond. Wise of him. That gave her a chance to let it all out. I got caught up in it, lost in him. I said something I shouldn't have. How do you think I felt? Her fists curled against his angelic robe. When the fun guy I was dating just decided to bail on me because I made the shitty mistake of saying I love ga. She bit off the word with a growl and shook her head, nearly choking on the bile burning up her throat. It was the most embarrassing feeling to be vulnerable for once, and then he... I'm sorry. What? Her head snapped up, alarmed to see the genuine concern in his eyes. No, don't be. It's not your fault. Blitz really knows how to send a message in the shittiest fucking way. Still sorry, he mumbled under his breath, holding her a bit tighter. You deserve to be loved. Everybody does. Hearing those words, it felt good, like she mattered to him. Meant something, like she wasn't to blame for what happened with Blitzo. Maybe she never had been. Thanks. She nuzzled against him, clinging a bit tighter, seeking his warmth as she looked down on the buildings below. They'd be coming in for a landing soon. She might not have another chance to speak this candidly up here, where no one could hear her. The worst part is, he still makes me feel like a bad person for angry at him. So I want to make him squirm. Pull one over on him. Hard. Think you can do that? A shiver shot through Naruto, and his already golden eyes lit up fireworks. Do you mean a prank? She tilted her head, not quite comprehending. Why do you like those meep? What, Tilda? Her words cut off in a startled squeak as Naruto came in for an abrupt landing on a nearby asphalt lot, thereby setting her down in the process. But the instant her heels touched solid ground, he seized her by the shoulders, spun her around, yanked her in, and slammed his lips against hers in a searing kiss. It was a bruising one, harsh and fleeting, enough to steal her breath clean out her lungs, leaving her reeling. She didn't even have the mind to return it, so stunned was she. When he finally pulled away to let her breathe, she found herself gasping for air. Said gasps intensified as Naruto drew her into a fierce hug, squashing her face against his pectorals. Veronica Mayday, you are my new favorite person. I haven't had a chance to prank anybody since I came down era. Veronica swooned on her feet. Okay, like as those. Note to self. Pranks more often. All the pranks she could think of. How long had she been fighting to get a proper kiss from him? Too long. Then he went and gave her one when her guard was down. Unfair! In his arms here and now, she could feel her heart begin to beat again, pounding so damn fast she could hear it in her ears. She knew this feeling. She hated this feeling. She loved this feeling. It was both everything and nothing to. Painfully bittersweet, after all she'd seen and suffered through. Left her feeling strong and weak all at once. Stupid, foolish, idiot girl. She'd sworn that she would never let herself feel this way again. But the heart wants what the heart wants, even if that heart belongs to a succubus. With that realization, her mouth went dry. Oh, shit. I fucked up, her hands fisted in his robe, holding on for dear life. Hey, Whiskers, remember what I said earlier? What about it? Naruto looked to her, no quite hearing her whisper. Tucked in his wings and hid his halo, just as she'd asked, the better to stun and hopefully scare the hell out of her ex. But in this moment, he'd never looked more angelic to her eyes. You all right? Yep. Errors were made. They were all hers, definitively, every last one of them, and she wanted more of those errors. She reached up for Naruto's face, fingers trailing across his cheeks as she pulled his face down to hers. I think I might have fallen for... Tires squealed. Naruto whirled without thinking and pivoted to shield her with his body, holding her close while simultaneously thrusting his right hand forward in the father of all stiff arms. Well, that he did too, because something collided with his arm, namely the hood of a van absolutely crumpled against his upturned palm. Its drive must have been going at top speed and not seen them until the last moment, for what little good it did them. He didn't budge an inch. The driver and their vehicle wasn't so lucky. The front half of the vane, folded like tinfoil, came to a shuddering halt and slammed down before them, utterly totaled. The car's horn resounded furiously, trailing off into a strangled whine as the vehicle lost. But that wasn't the worst of it. An angry imp thrust their head out the driver's window and flipped them off. Hey, bitch! You're in our parking space. Beat it! Also, you owe me a new fucking van. Veronica quite literally saw red. Blitzo. Chapter 30. Greed may not be good, but it's not so bad either. Humans think greed is just for money or power, but everyone wants something they don't have, whether it's something mundane like protecting a loved one or saving the world. Speaking of which, there's a saying we have down here in the underworld. Tilda? A Fool's Errand, Part 2. Hell hath no fury like a succubus scorned. Veronica wasn't angry, or ho-ho, no. She'd gone well past that. Naruto needn't ask, he already knew. He could sense it, see it, feel it, practically taste it in the air, really. Her soul was a riot, a seething cauldron of powerful emotions, Angry, not furious, not even incandescent, but lively, luridly, ludicrously livid. If looks could kill, Blitzo and his buddies would be a pile of ashes upon the floor, and then those ashes would be gone, reduced to atoms. Said atoms would then be tossed into a volcano, resigned to the void for all eternity. She was just that mad. Not that he blamed Verosika for being angry, mind you. He didn't. Not at all, really. Not after being interrupted like that. Frankly, he was feeling a bit murdery himself, to be honest. What had she said to him again? Sorry, Whiskers. I think I've fallen for... She'd never finished her sentence, but he could extrapolate based on what she said. Him, most likely. Yeah, he might be thick as a brick sometimes, but he wasn't that dense. And speaking of thick... Blitzo. Okay, demon voice. Not good. Hey! He reeled the snarling succubus back in by the hips before she could actually commit a murder. He was fairly certain Hellborn couldn't respawn unlike sinners, and he wasn't eager to test his theory. Calm your tits. Judging by her now red eyes, she didn't seem to hear him. All she did was try to claw her way out of his grasp. I will wear his horns as a hat. The cheeky imp had the gall to grin and flip her off from the window of his ruined van. Oh, did you miss me that much, bitch? Mistakes were made. Verosika made angry Verosika noises and tried to bite his face off. Naruto yanked her back. Verosika, no. Verosika, yes. With a long-suffering sigh, he planted his chin on her shoulder and squeezed her tighter, all but hugging her from behind as he directed a brief whisper into her ear for her alone to hear. Remember why we came here? She whined, wriggled against him, sulked now when it became clear he wasn't going to release her anytime soon. No murder. He gave her waist a squeeze. No murder. Her eyes dimmed, deflated with a sigh, all but slumping against him. Fine, but you're taking me on another date. Naruto lifted a leg to prevent her tail from twining around it. I already promised you one, didn't I? She huffed and squirmed around to glare at him. I want two. Fine, he capitulated. Two it is. Satisfied? Her eyes went half-lidded. Very. Naruto released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. All was well. Yeah, that's right. Listen to your new boy toy already and back off. And then Blitzo opened his big fat mouth again, reminding everyone he was still very much present and didn't like being ignored. Where'd you find this one anyway? He granted Naruto a bombastic side-eye. Some bargain bin in the lust ring? Verosika growled at that remark, and Naruto briefly, very briefly, considered telling the poor imp to please stop digging his own grave. Then he thought better of it. What did he owe him? And happily handed the little shit a shovel with silence. Bargain bin at the lust ring, eh? His opinion of him was plummeting by the minute. That said, the little bastard really could rant, because he didn't miss a beat. Damn it, I should have known you'd be here. I could smell fish for miles, which is odd, because I believe the nearest ocean is... Ow! Blitzo leaned forward, fell out his van's window, landed flat on his face, and summarily sprang back to his feet, all without missing a beat. 3 rings down. This close, it was impossible to ignore the state of his soul. Likewise, his first opinion of Blitzo was thus, jerk. Followed soon thereafter by, what the hell happened to mess you up this badly? It wasn't that he wanted to peer into his soul per se, but he couldn't help himself. His eyes took one look at him and that was it. Blitzo's was a gnarled knot of conflicting emotions, bound so tightly together that he could scarcely tell where one began and the other ended. Even the most dedicated therapist back home would take one look at this hot mess and quit. That was only scratching the surface. In terms of appearance, Blitzo was quite slender for his kind, roughly 4 feet tall, sporting a harlequin-like aesthetic. He has red skin with white burn marks of various sizes, covering parts of his forearms, chest, and his tail, including most of the right side of his face. His irises were red, and he had a heart-shaped skull symbol on the center of his forehead. Furthermore, he had fairly broad forearms and hands, and a long, narrow head out of which extends large, curved black and white striped horns. He has black spines on his head and upper back, as well as on his tail. His tail ends with a triangular point that has a black spot at the tip. He wore a tattered slate-grey collared coat with red buttons running down the breast, black knee-high boots matching the shape of his feet, and elbow-length black fingerless gloves featuring large, rounded yellow decorations on the upper side of them. Lastly, his pointed feet ended in boot-like heels, the latter of which tapped impatiently as he glared daggers at them. Should he feel bad for this wretched, shattered soul? In the end, the decision was made for him. Verosica squirmed free and stomped forward at Blitzo. "And I should have known you'd be here when I heard that clanker of a car you call a van. You almost ran me over." Naturally, he gave it right back. "Oh yeah? I'm surprised they let your fat ass out of rehab. I can see you're still a drunken whore clutching onto that BL's juice bottle." Huh. So that was what she had in that flask of hers. He'd been wondering what she was drinking all this time. Smelled like gluttony. Should he say something? Keep watching, maybe. This was kinda entertaining. "They let me out because I'm still famous." She flared a hand through her hair, momentarily forgetting he was there. "And rehab is for sad loser wash-ups Tilda." Naruto elbowed her to remind her of Charlie, forcing a wince, and she hastened on. "By the way, your sister says hello." Blitzo made a throttling motion with his hands. "Why are you even here?" "This is the only parking spot my company has. Take your tampon hindquarters somewhere else." "Actually, prick," she leaned down to flick his forehead with a sharp nail, "I was looking for you." "Me?" His brow furrowed and the slightest stammer entered his voice. "The fuck for?" "Oh, you mad Blitzo?" She tilted her sunglasses down to glare at him. "You feeling angry? Hurt? Confused? You gonna run off? Leave someone else to pay for your hotel room, steal their car, and run 3 rings to Wrath while maxing my credit cards out on shitty horse racing lessons? For Wrath's sake." The unusually tall imp flung up his arms with an exasperated noise. "Damn it, whore!" "You will not let that go." Verosica absolutely twitched. "Let it go?" Naruto winced. Oh dear, Blitzo had just pressed the button. Not just any button, but the trauma button. He shouldn't have did that. In all fairness, was well aware that Verosica's feelings for the erratic imp were complicated at best. Despite all the pain he'd caused her, she still loved him in her own way. You never really got over loving someone, you know? A small part of that love always lingered, even if feelings turned bitter. You sometimes found yourself reflecting on happier days. Nostalgia was a hell of a drug. Blitzo didn't care. Or if he did, he was doing a magnificent job of appearing otherwise. Still to just say let it go. That was in poor taste. Even if those words came from a place of pain, which they probably did. Under normal circumstances, he might have just locked them in a closet and demanded they make up. But that clearly wasn't happening. Too much bad blood. In truth, he was almost glad they were at one another's throats like these. He found himself somewhat fond of Verosica. All right, very fond. She'd been the first person hellborn or otherwise he'd met since descending to the underworld. In a way, she'd influenced his views and all that followed. She deserved someone who would treat her right, someone who wouldn't betray her, someone who wouldn't up and run just because she dropped the dreaded L word. He would be the first to admit that it made him real skittish, but he'd never flee from it. Love was a beautiful, sacred thing, and while lust was a close cousin to it, so too were gluttony and greed. Greed may not be good, but it wasn't so bad either, in moderation. Most humans thought greed is just for money or power, but everyone wants something they don't have, whether it's something mundane like protecting a loved one or saving the world. Even angels could be a little greedy from time to time. Sarah was a fine example of that, and right now, he didn't want to give Verosica back to Blitzo. He wanted her all for himself, wanted to keep her. Right, Underworld's definitely affecting me. I'm usually not this greedy. Gotta watch that. A soft sigh drew him back to reality. Let it go. Verosica repeated the words numbly, hanging her head. Ha! A small broken noise fled from her lips as she audibly pronounced the laugh. Ha! Ha ha! Ha! Let it go, he says, like it's that easy. She clutched both arms to her bosom and shook her head. You really are the shittiest imp I've ever met. Naruto laid hand on her shoulder, only for her to shrug it off. Blitzo shrugged his shoulders. Well, yeah, it happened a while ago, and... Gurk? His words cut off with a wheeze as Verosica's slender tail wrapped around his throat, quick as you please. Then she squeezed. This ain't frozen, motherfucker. Her head snapped eyes, gaze blazing as she redoubled her grip on him and hoisted him upright. An agonized gasp fled from his throat as his eyes bulged, leaving his hands to claw futilely at her. I'm not letting go of anything. And you can go choke on a sandpaper coat. Okay, murder was imminent. That was his cue. No more watching. Deftly stepping in from behind, he slung both arms around the screaming succubi's waist, lifted her up, and heaved, bodily dragging his would-be paramour backward. She didn't like that one bit. Her lovely long legs flailed furiously in the air and she howled for him to let go. Said howls only intensified when he lashed out with an invisible wing to smack her tail aside and sweeping the still choking Blitzo off his feet, saving the poor fellow from being strangled, albeit at the cost of his pride. The leader of IMP had a split-a-second to squawk in surprise before he went down on his face. The parking lot held its breath for a moment, but only a moment. And then, "All right, shitstain, that does it." He sprang back to his feet, limber as ever, fists cocked. "You want to go?" Naruto paid him no mind, set Verosika down, and took a deep cleansing breath for clarity. "Hey, I'm talking to you, asshole." The rational response would have been to de-escalate. He knew that. "Don't ignore me." Verosika hiccuped and wiped tears from her eyes. "Sorry I fucked up." Tears. Actual tears. Not fake ones. He exhaled slowly. "Damn it." He patted her head. "Stay put." She warbled once and hung her head. An audible, powerful crunch filled his ears. "Wait a minute. Why does my hand hurt so much?" Naruto looked down, confused to find himself facing away from her, arm thrust forward, fist fully extended. Blitzo was nowhere to be seen. No, wait, there he was. It took him a moment to piece things together. He must have moved instinctively without realizing it. His fist had gone up, and Blitzo must have been sent back, barreled into his van, because that was where he currently lay, eyes spinning in his head. As he looked on, the imp spat out a tooth and raised a tipsy arm, slurring around a broken nose. "Oh, that's it. You are dead. Just let me... why are there 3 of you?" Well, that settled it. He'd decked him all right in the schnoz. Verosika bit her lop and crooned darkly, tail swaying. "Ooh, yes, Daddy." Heat seared up the back of Naruto's neck. She looked like she wanted to jump him here and now, and she just might if he let her. Thankfully, that was the cue for the rest of Blitzo's entourage team to come pouring out the back of the poor mangled vehicle and help their boss up. Wait, only 3? For a minute there, he could have sworn he sensed a 4th. Strange. Was his mind playing tricks on him? "All right, let's call it there." A female imp practically materialized before him, all smiles. "Our boss has a nasty habit of writing checks his tush can't cash. Sorry about that." A blonde brow rose. "And you are?" "Name's Millie." She thrust a hand at him in apology. "So, truce?" By contrast, this girl imp held a rather petite, pear-shaped figure with a long, devilish tail. She possessed a pair of thin, white-striped black horns and short, charcoal black hair cut in a messy bob with bangs. Her eyes have yellow sclera and long, thick eyelashes protruding from them, with a small beauty mark under the right eye. Her front teeth held a gap between, noticeable only when she smiled. She also had a black heart tattooed on her right shoulder, and makeup, which consists of shimmering dark red eyeshadow, thick black mascara, and black lipstick on her lips. 2 white spots on her upper right arm, 1 on her upper left leg, 2 on her tail, and 1 on the tip of her tail. Her attire consisted of all black with a tint of yellow, a dark choker around her neck paired with a midriff-bearing crop top, the straps being held by 2 golden yellow buttons, before trailing down into black, torn denim pants and black, toeless footwear, which exposes her decidedly hoof-like toes. She also wore black, fingerless glove. He noticed as they shook hands. Nice choice there. So long as he keeps his mouth shut. Great. And this here's my husband, Moxie. She shoved her counterpart at him, eager to prevent further violence. Say hi, honey. Naruto took him in at a glance. Typical imp with red skin and glowing eyes, but he noted the freckles on his cheeks and the white pointy hair leading up to his curvy black and white striped horns. He has a long red thin tail with a quadrilateral barb at the end, as well as lanky digitigrade legs ending in what appears to be cloven red hooves. Probably a running theme there where imps were concerned. At least he dressed smartly. His attire that of a navy black coat bearing red buttons and white cuffs, black pants, a white shirt with a black turtleneck, a large red bow tie, and fingerless gloves. He also noticed the latter as Millie all but forced him to shake his arm, forcing their arms to pump up and down. "Pleasure to, meet you, sir?" "Sir?" He chuckled, releasing his hand. "That's a new one. You're all right. Sorry about punching your boss back there." He wasn't. "Nope, not at all." By all means, the younger imp beamed. "Punch him again? Someone should smack some sense into him." "Traitor!" Blitzo slurred where he lay. I'll remember this treacherizing treachery. Just how hard did you hit him? Naruto looked to the speaker, gaze turning to the third member of this mad menagerie of maniacs, and felt himself. Another hellhound? She growled. Yeah, you got a problem. Not with you, no. He laughed a little. Remember his earlier tussle. You're different. She definitely looked unique for a hellhound, due in no small part to her wolf-like appearance. She had a pointed, dog-like muzzle with sharp and pointy teeth and a dark grey nose. Her eyes were a fascinating shade of white, slitted pupils set against blood-red sclera, the latter of which narrowed now as she glared at him. Her fur was white with grey countershading encircling her face, grey patches on her shoulders, and long, hip-length, voluminous silver hair swept to the side to reveal her dark grey ears, one of which was pierced with two small black hoop piercings, while the other looked strangely ragged. Likewise, she possessed a large and long dark grey bushy tail with white on the underside. There was also a piercing on her right eyebrow with a black hoop for jewellery. Her outfit was decidedly gothish. Was that a real word? Featuring large spiked black choker collar around her neck. Her short-sleeved tattered grey off-the-shoulder crop top was held up at the neckline by a series of criss-cross spaghetti straps that formed an inverted pentagram. Additionally, she also wears a set of tattered black shorts near the hems, with a white crescent moon detail on the right side, accessorized with both black fingerless gloves and long black thigh-high toeless stockings, exposing the black claws of her paws. Wisely, he didn't let his gaze wander further than that, but apparently that was already too much for Blitzo, because the battered imp started swearing where he lay all over again. Hey! He waved a fist still conked out of his mind. No staring at my loony. Keep your paws off. Her ears flattered atop her head. Dad! Blitzo made happy noises, anger momentarily forgotten. Yup, that's me Tilda. Naruto frowned. Wait, how does that even work? She growled, tail twitching. Adopted. Good for you, Tilda. Luna's ears perked up all over again. Must pet, damn it. He was getting distracted. Focus. Sorry. He yanked his hand back with a sigh, trying to ignore her wide, startled eyes. You all certainly seem like people. He couldn't exactly use the word nice when it came to Blitzo, but the other three seemed mostly grounded. Mostly. And this has been nice, but I think it's time for us to fly. Millie tilted her head, confused and amused. Fly? How are you going to do that? You got a copter or something? Verosika elbowed him eagerly, grinning. About that. You still conscious over there, Blitzy? The leader of IMP flipped her off where he lay. Fuck you! Fine. Naruto heaved a sigh. It would be interesting to see their reaction if nothing else. Rolling his eyes, he cut the leash tethering his angelic powers and let them come boiling back to the surface. His wings unfurled in a grandiose shower of golden light, halo shimmering back into existence over his head alongside in all its blazing glory. His hair caught fire once more, shining like a second sun, and somewhere he could have sworn he heard choir music. Huh? Did he have background music? Neat. IMP's reaction was certainly memorable, if nothing else. Luna inhaled sharply, baring her fangs. Millie and Moxie clutched at each other. Blitzo recoiled, still sprawled out atop his manged van. Only now the arrogant little asshole looked like he'd been stabbed with a hot poker. What the shit? Is that a fucking angel? Where and how did you even get one of those? No way. After a moment, however, when he made no move towards any of them, Luna titled her head. Are those things real? Naruto booped her snout with one. Real enough. She wrinkled her nose. Huh, neat. I'm guessing you're not an exorcist since you haven't gone all stabby. Naruto shook his head. Nope. So, what, you're just here to fuck with my old man? Verosika whistled less than innocently. Naruto simply shrugged. Pretty much, yeah. Moxie raised a hand. And you're not going to kill him? He smacked his lips. Nope. I'll even heal him afterward. Luna considered his words, stepped aside with a vindictive smirk. Then fuck away. Blitzo gasped in horror. Loony! No fair. Sorry, Pops, you kinda shat the bed here, now you gotta sleep in it. How the hell did you fumble freaking Verosika Mayday? Millie! Boss, I love you, but I ain't fighting an angel for you. Sides, you could do with a slice of humble pie. Oh, so sad. Verosika, for her part, was far from done. She sneered at Blitzo, grinning from ear to ear as, Much to Naruto's amusement, she all but draped herself over him, dragging one of his wings over her body like a cloak. Why the long face, Blitz? I ain't making faces, whore. Liar, liar, horns on fire. She leaned forward to regard him. Is someone jealous? Her fingers stroked his cheek, delivering a brisk pat in their wake. Green's a good look for you. That's right. I've got my own guardian angel now. And let me tell you, he's an upgrade compared to you. The imp growled up at her. Says the bitch who smells like a fish. Can't believe I wasted so much time with a bag of holes like you. What was that? Her eyes went slitted, but she never got a chance to finish. Naruto flared all 10 of his wings. And that's my cue. Hey, hey, get your holy hands off of me. All right, Tild. He grabbed Blitzo by the coat, casually dragging him out of the wreckage as one might a small child. You and I clearly need to have a little chat. But first I have just one little question. Pausing, he eyed IMP, headquarters looming far above them. An idea dawned. Just how durable are you, Hellborn? Blitzo spat in his face. Eat shit! If you think I'm going to bare my soul to some shiny prick like you, then you've got another thing coming. Right. Naruto tutted and wiped his visage clean with his free hand. Durable enough, got it. Up you go. Here at last, Blitzo realized it might not be such a good idea to antagonize an angel. Wait, Naruto most assuredly did not. His wrist flicked, and the Hellborn went flying into the building. Luna grimaced a little as Moxie and Millie each winced. Ouch. Verosika took a long swig of her flask and smiled. Payback, as they say, is a bitch. Chapter 31. As I said, 'tis a fool's errand to assume we have no say. You thought he could not strike you down. You forget, nameless fool. Tilda, if you get the reference, you won. A fool's errand, part 3. Blitzo was a slippery bastard. He'd unhappily admit that with equal parts pride and prejudice there. When you were an imp, slippery was a good thing. Down here, slippery meant you got to live longer. Slippery meant survival. Slippery meant you got to live when everyone around you got hurt and eventually died because you were a useless fuck-up that always broke everything around you and ruined everything you touched. Okay, bit of trauma there if he was being honest. Lots to unpack, waiting for the other shoe to drop and all that. A distant tremor overhead reclaimed his attention in the nick of time, just before a fist slammed through the ceiling above. Then another now. And another. Another. Shit. Time to hide, Tild. Ducking low to the ground, he scampered out the room, painfully picking bits of glass out of his jacket and shoulders as he went. Much to his relief, his pursuer didn't bring the ceiling down on his head this time to get at him. Shame about those holes, though. Rent was probably going to go up. Maybe he'd finally given up chasing him once and for all. Somewhere behind him, a door creaked open. Blitzo! An all too familiar voice crooned, Don't be shy. The night is young. Come out and play! He poked his head out of cover, unable to help himself. The O is silent, you sack of shit! There you are, Tild! 5 firm fingers closed around his face, rendering the last word a garbled gasp, and just like that he found himself airborne all over again. Life sucked, all right? And so did he. Everything he said, everything he did, 9 times out of 10, he fucked it up. And when he didn't straight away, he inevitably would sooner or later. It was just who he was. He hated it almost as much as he hated himself. But that was life, wasn't it? People used you. You used them. Sooner or later, the other shoe dropped. That was how life worked. Which brought him full circle to the freaking angel currently tossing him around the building like he owed him rent, healing him, then proceeding to throw him about all over again. He grunted as a bookshelf exploded behind his back just before he was summarily dragged up a wall and hauled through the ceiling. Key thing when it came to getting hit in a fight. Don't. But if you gotta make it count for something. He tried scratching and claw at the blonde bastard and received only a laugh as his reward. Unfair fucking angels. Ordinarily, he wouldn't mind dealing with one. He'd been through his fair share of tussles down here in Imp City, and while the whole grappling with the divine shtick was kinda new for him, that wasn't the problem here. Nope. He was seething for an entirely different reason. How? In the rings? Did Verosika get her hands on an angel? It wasn't even one of those edgy run-of-the-mill exorcists, no-ho-ho, but some 10-winged prick. What did that make him? An archangel? Seraphim? Virtue? Didn't know, didn't care. Hellborn didn't get the whole immortality shtick like the sinners in the other side of the Pride Ring did. When they died, they died. Sucked to be them. Sucked to be him right now, too. Everything hurt. Why was Vorosika even pissed with him anyway? Yeah, he got it, the credit cards, horse riding lessons, all the shit, but why? He didn't matter. Never did. Never would. He'd never be what she wanted him to be. He couldn't. He wasn't that guy. She had been, she still was, so much more than he'd ever be, and she deserved better than a bottom feeder like him. Of course he couldn't go saying that aloud. It'd ruin his rep. Besides, he was too damn proud to admit it. He'd fumbled the bag. Fumbled her. Fumbled hard. For crying out loud, how the duck did you manage to fumble a pop star? She'd even gotten a tattoo of him. Before he'd fucked that up, too. He'd seen the X plastered over the here on her shoulder where his name had been. It wasn't his fault. She'd said the L word. That shit was off limits. Love wasn't real. Love didn't exist. Love fucked you over, sooner or later. Looney, Millie, Hells, even Moxie, they were different. They understood the way the world worked. But not this guy of hers. He was head over heels for her. He didn't get it, and he wouldn't until she bit him in the oh shit, not again. His word inverted as an adjacent wall crumbled, and quite suddenly he found himself tossed onto a rooftop. Mr. Ten Wings arose through the gaping hole and alighted before him like he owned the place. Which he didn't, but damn if he didn't act like it. Then he had the gall to reach out and offer him his hand. Calmed down yet? Blitzo bit his hand. Naruto sighed. Rude. Would it kill you to say sorry? Blitzo bristled at the sound of his own voice in his head. Excuse me? What? I mean, if we apologize, he'll stop, right? Oh no, they were not having this conversation. He had enough problems without voices in his head. Except, apparently they were. Because Blondie was winding up for another punch, and that looked like it was really gonna hurt. All right, all right. He held up his hands to ward off another punch that may or may not break his jaw. Hold your horse racing. I'm sorry, all right? Naruto paused, wearing a tight smile. Sorry for what? Shit, he had him there. For fucking your girl. The blonde tutted. She's not my. Blitzo saw a chance to get him back and pounced like the opportunist he was. Buddy, she's got you wrapped around her finger and you don't even realize it. Whiskers didn't answer. Ooh, sore spot. He went for it. Makes me wonder who's the real bitch around here. Uzumaki must have sensed a lie or something. Apparently, Angels could because his smile dimmed dangerously and belted him across the face, launching him into another building. By luck or sheer coincidence, Blitzo managed to land somewhere useful. Ooh, someone had an armory. Carmine Industries, eh? He spied a sign on the wall and cackled, rubbing his claws together. Time to load up! Blitzo dove into the armory with a cackle. Naruto drifted down after him a moment later, none the wiser as to where he'd inadvertently sent him. Now where'd you go? Don't tell me you need another round of healing. Heal this bitch! Blitzo sprang out of cover, armed to the teeth, grinning ear to ear. Say hello to my little friends. A blonde brow rose. Do you really think that's going to make a difference? A grenade sailed his way. Naruto caught the damn thing. It immediately went off in his face. With a wild whoop, Blitzo unloaded on him. Needless to say, all hell broke loose. Chapter 32. Bullets, blades, bastards, doesn't matter, you can't kill him. Don't even try. Okay, yay, but what if I want to try anyway? It's your funeral. Tilda? A sinful evening. Carmilla Carmine swore virulently as a distant explosion rattled her teeth. A particularly bright flash of light in the distance didn't deter her. On the contrary, it only emboldened her, further fanning the flames of her temper to a lividly lurid degree. Most denizens of hell, overlord or no, ran away from a firefight that didn't involve them. It wasn't personal, just good business. Dying down here was both painful and time-consuming, and perishing meant risking the loss of all the contracts and soul deals one had made. Down here, souls were power. Souls were strength. Losing those souls meant starting all over again. So yes, avoiding violence was often prudent. Best to walk away from it and save face if you could. But she couldn't do that today now, could she? Because this very much involved her. Who dared raid one of her safe houses? She had a sinking suspicions as to whom, and the laughter in the distance only confirmed it. A fresh explosion gave her pause, and well, that it did, because in that instant of hesitation she saw a screaming horned figure sailing through the air at Mach speed. Was that an imp? Since when could those little bastards fly? No, that wasn't important. Stopping this commotion was… Hopefully she could save face before this disaster reached the ears of the other overlords. She already knew the V's would never let her hear the end of it. Vox would be worst of all, that insufferable prick. Heels clicking against the asphalt, she swore in Spanish and stomped toward the source of the chaos. Naruto better not have something to do with this. Tilda. Funny thing about focus fire, it only works if you hit your target. In theory, Blitzo knew it helped you, and whoever the hell you had with you, concentrate your attacks on a single enemy to eliminate them quickly, rather than spreading damage across multiple targets. He'd read a book about it once. Some sort of strategy maximizes efficiency, pins your enemy down and gives you time to find the high ground. Blah, 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 fancy words and stratagems and shit. There was just one tiny problem with that. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Really, he knew he was screwed the second that blonde bastard started laughing. Most folks didn't laugh when they were shot. This guy did. He unloaded a magazine's worth of lead into Naruto's face, and the prick walked through it without so much as a scratch. Bullets flattened against his face, infernal rounds pinged off his chest, all while he kept his countless wings tucked neatly against his back, not even deigning to use them. Really, he was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him, and he would have done that if it worked too. But it didn't. Nothing did. Was he invincible? Immortal? Was that an angel thing? Shit, running out of ammo. The angel freaking flickered, and quite suddenly he had more pressing concerns. Golden eyes filled his vision as he towered over him, casting him in his shadow. Leaning down, he pressing his forehead to his… Blitzo, has this ever worked? Blitz headbutted him. Errors were made, and they were his, because his skull howled in protest, and he found himself recoiling, clutching his now bloodied brow. Ow! What is your skull made of? Pure metal. Faith and belief, actually. The angel's glowing visage dimpled in a wry smile. My turn now. Oh, crap baskets. A fist shot out, bruising Blitz's face just shy of his brow. He'd have a black eye come morning. Tumbling aside, he tried to turn tail and run, only for a hand to close around his tail and yank him back, then up, dangling him in the air like a hooked fish. Whoa. This was gonna hurt, wasn't it? He managed an anxious laugh. Please don't break my butt! Naruto clicked his tongue. Buddy, it's your face you gotta worry about. Pivoting, he whirled and thrashed him left, right, up into the ceiling, just out of sight, then into the floor till he felt no more. Uzumaki left him there, wedged into the ground, gasping for air, but only for a moment. Then a booted foot planted itself against his chest, forcing him deeper into the deck. Eyes of molten gold gazed down at him with open scorn. Puny imp, said Imp, spat at him. Fuck you and fuck that reference. Snarling, he snatched up a stolen grenade from his coat courtesy of Carmine's cash, pulled the pin and flung it at the damn angel. Naruto caught it an inch from his face. Was that supposed to do something? A harsh click filled the room. And then, hallelujah! Tilda. Carmine saw the explosion that followed from afar and swore a blue streak. That settled it. Whoever did that was dead. Hijo de puta! Tilda. In the haze that followed, Blitzo dared to hope he'd finally made a dent in the arrogant angel. Holy hand grenade to the face, baby. No way he was still standing. Said hopes plummeted as the fog of war cleared, revealing 10 golden wings draped over the blonde bastard's body. Not to protect himself, no. It looked like he'd drawn the grenade directly into his chest, then slammed all of his wing over it in a desperate attempt to contain the blast itself. With his own body, no less. The fuck would he do that for? Why save him? He didn't matter. Are you crazy? As he looked on aghast, Verosika's current boy toy coughed harshly, violently expelling a ring of smoke. He was covered in dist and smoke, but otherwise unharmed and thoroughly displeased. You don't make bombs go boom in your face. You could have killed yourself. Blitzo tried to laugh, but only managed a dry wheeze in his defense. I was trying to kill you, you son of a bitch. Uzumaki bit back a growl. This again? Why is everyone insulting my mother? She was a very nice lady. He laughed at him. I very much doubt that prick. If she's anything like you, she was probably a super whore. Did you even know your dad? In hindsight, maybe he'd gone too far with that last insult. Definitely, judging by the look on the angel's face. Naruto's boot, presently planted in his chest, stomped down with thrice the force, snapping 2 of Blitz's ribs like dry kindling. The room's temperature spiked and his body shone like the sun, forcing him to avert his gaze lest his eyes boil in his skull. Belatedly, it occurred to him that winged wonder might have been going easy on him, that he might have restrained himself until just now. That, and he might have just pissed him off. Naruto's right leg absolutely blurred in a flying kick. In other words, boot. Tilda, breaking news. Imps can fly. More at 11. What? No, they can't. I distinctly remember them not having. Stolas looked at his television, did a double take, and promptly spat out his tea. Oh my good heavens. Blitz! Tilda. Morningstar clapped a hand to his forehead and dragged it down his face. He just couldn't help himself, could he? Naruto, why? Tilda. Alaseta cackled in his chair, legs flailing in the air as he laughed without a care. Now that's what I call entertainment. Wouldn't you agree, my dear? Lute snarled into a fist. I hate you. Tilda. Blitzo ate dirt. Dirt, sidewalk, asphalt, you name it, presently filling his mouth alongside several broken teeth. Belatedly, he realized he'd left Carmine's cash behind, if only because he found himself outside once more, sprawled out in the street like yesterday's trash. The faint scent of brimstone filled his nose, and belatedly bleary eyes roved upward in search of some sort of landmark. He found it on a nearby lamppost. Huh. Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Ironic. A shadow fell over him and he tensed, expecting an attack, but it never came, only more of that awful holy light. His wounds closed, his teeth were restored. Blech! Spit the broken ones out, and in a matter of moments he went from death's door to right as rain, which was only further compounded by the fact that said healing hands currently had him by the horns. In an instant, he found himself hoisted up off the asphalt and spun around to face his tormentor. Naruto bastard! Stared back at him with a sullen expression, his brief burst of anger spent, ire replaced by sorrowful confusion. Why are you like this? Don't you want to be redeemed? Blitz laughed blearily. Redeemed? Bitch, we're hellborn. We belong down here. Don't you want a better life than this, though? Something deep inside Blitzo flinched, recoiled so viscerally it hurt. Better? No. Didn't deserve better. He was the worst. He destroyed everything he ever loved. He'd been born down here and he would die down here. No, not better. Never ever better. No. Naruto sighed. Just what happened to you? Blitz rasped a hollow laugh. Like you care. Of course I do. It's my job. No te muevas. Don't move, Spanish. Don't move? Blondie hadn't said that, so who? The sharp click of heels interrupted anything else he might have thought or said. Someone tore him out of Naruto's grasp. Blitz looked up, utterly at a loss. A bladed heel swept down. Clonk! He saw stars and slumped to the ground. Through blurry vision, he vaguely beheld long, flowing white hair, and the owner of said hair stalked past him, over him, hissing under her breath. Who, fuck? Was that who High thought it was? Yep. Carmilla Carmine didn't pay him any mind. On the contrary, she only had eyes for the angry angel, which was kinda scary considering she looked like she was about to blow them all to hell. Or double hell. Semantics! The visceral string of salty Spanish syllables that followed had both imp and angel wince. The owner of said syllables sauntered stomped into view, took one look at Naruto, scowled, and pointed a clawed finger his way. Idiota! Ignorante. Imbecile! ¿En qué estabas pensando? Te dejo solo un día y me haces esto. ¿Tienes idea del daño que le has hecho a mi reputación? Te mataré. Idiot. Ignoramus. Imbecile. What were you thinking? I leave you alone for a day, and you do this to me. Do you have any idea how much damage you've done to my reputation? I'll kill you. His whiskered visage creased in a wry smile as he weathered her verbal abuse. Oh, I missed you too. She stalked up to him and kicked him in the gut, causing him to double over with a grunt. Blitzo blinked. Hard. How the hell? Okay, I deserve that one. I'll show you deserving. Naruto caught her heel before she could kick him again and reeled her into him. She slapped him for it, but he took it with a smile, lazily looping one arm around her waist. The overlord snarled and squirmed in his grasp, but it was a token resistance at best. He overpowered her and pinned her to a lamppost, holding her fast. Metal bent, but her body did not. She glared bloody red daggers at him even as he tried to bend her backwards. Idiota! Naruto tutted. Are you done? I will shave you bald and cut off your— Ah! He planted a hand over her mouth before she could start in on another rant of hellish proportions. Don't do that. I'm sorry, all right? I didn't think things would get this out of hand. Quick as can be, he planted a kiss on her forehead. I'll make it up to you, promise. Carmine glared heatedly at him until he finally pried his fingers from her face. The look she shot him afterward was almost fondly exasperated. Blitzo knew that look. He'd seen it many a face before he'd gone and, well, fucked things up. Down, sideways. Directions. Not the point. Point was, he knew that look. You're fucking Carmilla Carmine? His eyes widened. Oh fuck, you're fucking Carmilla Carmine. Carmine shoved Naruto back with a huff. 7 tonight, my place. Do not be late. Understood. Naruto nodded numbly. Good boy. Her piece said, she stalked away, hips swaying. Damn, you could build a bakery with that, the cake. Of course Veronica the whore. Ruined it by poking her head around the corner the second she left. Is she gone? Naruto heaved a sigh, pivoting to face her. Yeah, she just left. Why? Blitzo knew that look too, but he decided to be a prick about it and not warn Naruto. He wanted to deal with a horny succubus who had a drinking problem. Fine. He got to deal with all of her. Great. As such, said Goody Two-Shoes was quite surprised when Veronica jumped him and dragged him into the air, wings beating a mile a minute. My place. Now. Hey! He flailed in her grasp and fought back, terribly startled by her behavior, the poor bastard. Wait a second. Where's this coming from? She hissed at him, fangs bared. No waiting? We leave. Fuck you, Blitzo. Bah! Flipping him off, she dragged her paramour away. Now hold on, just a secoo! They took off. Poor bastard. She was going to break his hips. Blitzo slumped to his knees as they left him behind. Right, Hoo-boy. He dragged a hand down his face with an exasperated laugh. How in the fuck did I survive that? With an awful chugging noise, the company van, what was left of it, lurched up behind him, leaving Looney and the rest to pile out. His family, they really were, weren't they? Surrounded him, their eyes expectant. He braced himself for all sorts of questions, only to receive something else entirely. Luna flung up her arms the second she saw him. You knew Veronica Mayday? Oh, her? He flopped onto the floor. Yeah, we dated. Millie tilted her head. Was it before or after she became a pop star? Moxie all but fell on the floor. You dated a pop star? Okay. Why are you all acting like that's such a shock? Luna scoffed. Hello, it's Veronica Mayday. Millie giggled. It's you? Moxie scratched the back of his head, utterly befuddled. Is she blind? Suffering some form of brain damage, perhaps? Hey! You are all making this into a way bigger deal than it needs to be. I don't pry into your personal lives. They all shouted him down before he could finish, the traitors. You definitely do. In a rush of dark light, Stolas arrived. Blitz, I'm here to save you. His favorite Goetia looked left, right, then frowned. What did I miss? Tilda, Veronica jumped him. Naruto felt that last bit was worth repeating since she all but tackled him. He had half a second to gasp, then she was on him, locking her legs around his waist, driving him down to her bed. He'd known she was hot and bothered after Blitzo's beating, but this took the cake. She wasn't even giving him time to breathe, damn it. Ouch! Hey! No biting. Can we talk about this? She glared at him with glazed eyes. Sex! Now! Chapter 33. I love you. There, I said it. Happy now? That shitty, crummy word fucked up my life once already, and now it's gonna... Huh? Why are you smiling? Tilda? A sinful evening, part 2, Veronica jumped him. Naruto felt that last bit was worth repeating given the surly succubus practically tackled him the moment she got him through her bedroom door. You tried telling a succubus no. Easier said than done. He had half a second to dimly glimpse the interior of said room, Lots of pink and violet, before she dove on him, locked her legs around his waist and rode him down to her bed. The second they landed, she planted both hands on either side of him, effectively locking him in place. Now he couldn't move without touching her. And touching she most certainly did. As he looked on, she shed her coat, hooked a finger in her top and tore it clean off, revealing the black brassiere beneath to his startled eyes. Damn, those girls must play hell on her shoulders. But when he sought to speak, she snarled and silenced him with her lips, ruthlessly plundering his mouth with her tongue until he saw stars. Okay, then. Someone was serious about this. He'd known she was hot and bothered after Blitzo's beating and Carmine's declaration, but this took the cake. She wasn't even giving him time to breathe, damn it. He made to push her back, but that only emboldened her further. She shoved herself into him, linking both hands behind his neck while pressing her breasts into his chest, practically clinging to him for dear life. There was an almost desperate air to her kisses now, like she was afraid she'd lose him, that he'd go somewhere very far away and never return. Before he could ask why, she set her lips to his neck and bit down. Hard. Ouch, hey! He laughed, still ticklish despite the situation. No biting. Can we talk about this? Verosika growled into his neck and gave him another hickey. Naruto sighed. Use your words. Rather than reply, Verosika made angry Verosika noises and ground herself against him anew. Her lips began kissing his jawline, tracing a tender line toward his mouth. A nameless thrill shot through him. He resisted, reached around, took a hold of the left side of her face and tweaked her cheek. That, finally, got a reaction out of the succubus. Her head snapped up as she glared at him with glazed eyes. Sex. Now! Oh dear. That was undoubtedly a feral gleam in her gaze, all right, said glimmer that told him she wouldn't be taking no for an answer. And he, while he could easily push her away, that would probably hurt her. Moreover, he wanted to know why she'd suddenly gone berserk on him. There had to be a reason for this, right? Even now, her emotions, what little he could sense, threatened to overwhelm him. There was desire there, to be sure, but also fear, so much fear. What was she so afraid of? Kurama might call him dense for wanting to know, perhaps he was, but he wanted to understand. When she tried to kiss him again, he ducked her lips and pulled her into a hug instead, holding her fast. She didn't like that one bloody bit. The moment it became apparent he wouldn't let her move the way she wanted, she went wild, whining and hissing, scratching and clawing at him, saying how terrible he was for holding her back like this, how cruel, how mean, how unfair. All right, that's settled. She'd gone off the deep end. He squeezed her tighter, grunting as her claws bit deep into his skin, failing to draw blood perhaps, but hurting him all the same. You try having an upset succubus dig her claws into your body. She might not be able to wound him, but that still stung. Calm down! Verosika most assuredly did not. She struggled for the better part of a minute, railing at him, crying, asking why he didn't just give in and let her have him because she was so tired of waiting, and didn't he understand how much it hurt for her to keep holding herself back? She hated him. He was worse than Blitzo. She wished she'd never met him. All lies, every last one, each a trick to try and get him to let her go so she could ravish him. He'd certainly fallen for a troublesome woman, hadn't he? In the end, he simply sighed and held on, waiting for her to calm down, knowing she would. Finally, a sliver of sanity slid into her gaze and she stilled in his arms. The tension didn't exactly drain out of her shoulders, but it did dissipate enough for her to calm down. Better? He asked. A little. She grinned up at him sheepishly, coherent once more. Sorry about that. Been pent up for a bit, lost myself there for a sec. You can let me go now. Won't happen again. The way she was looking at him, it absolutely would. She might not be crazed anymore, but he saw the spark desire in her eyes all the same. Are you gonna jump me if I do? No. He clicked his tongue. You hesitated. And you haven't fucked me yet. She thrashed violently in his grass, all but baring her fangs at him. Whose fault is that? A bemused blonde brow rose. Mine? Yours. She squirmed in his grasp, grinding herself against him. Exactly yours. Do you have any idea how patient I've been? He tried not to laugh, really, he did, but he failed. Very? Incredibly so. The word escaped her in a whine as she slumped into his chest. I haven't been with anyone else since I met you. Do you have any idea how hard it is for a succubus to be celibate? And now they got to the meat of the matter. It was enough to make him release her. You didn't have to do that for me. I wouldn't have held it against you. Easy for you to say. She wasn't finished railing at him. Her fists beat at his chest like a drum. All this time you've been going around wooing everyone, but you kept holding me at arm's length until recently. Do you have any idea how shitty that felt? It's called self-control, Vera. She perked up at the nickname, only to pout. Self-control fucking sucks. Language. She quirked a brow. What you gonna do, spank me? On second thought, I've been a bad girl. A smirk split her face as she wriggled herself atop his lap. Spank away. What's gotten into you? You! She dug her fingers into his robe, threatening to tear it. Do you even realize how much of a hot commodity you are down here? Now Carmine wants you at her place. Come 7, that's 8 hours from now, and I'm not giving her the satisfaction of one-upping me again. He felt something twist in her soul just then and wisely held his tongue for once. Everyone's always leaping past me. She was flat out ranting now, getting right in his face. Honestly, he wasn't sure if she was going to headbutt him or kiss him. If it's not Karama, then it's Velvet. And if not her, Carmine and Emily. Now I've got to fend off fucking fallen angels and probably the Princess of Hell herself. Don't get me started on Vaggie. What? He guffawed, unable to believe her. Charlie ain't interested in me like that. Vaggie's just a friend. Veronica headbutted his chin, driving her horns into jaw. How blind are you? Hey! I get it. Her shoulders slumped as she sagged against him. They're all more powerful than me. I'm only a hellborn, just a succubus. I'm okay with that. It's just... She re-emphasized the latter with a sullen sigh. Today was supposed to be mine, and now that bitch Carmine comes swooping in to take you from me, and... She hung her head, choking on a sob. Damn it, she hissed under her breath. I'm a mess. His arm betrayed him, rising to pat her head, idly tickling her horns. That was a mistake. She instantly latched onto his wrist and glared up at him between his fingers. I saw you first, Buster. I called dibs. Got it. Technically, he'd seen her second if one counted Emily, and he did, but he wasn't about to say that with an angry succubus straddling him. Even he wasn't that foolish. Still, thanks for today. As he looked on, she took a hold of his hand fully and brought it down to her cheek, nuzzling her face against it. You really held up your end of the bargain. She laid a gentle kiss on the back of his knuckles, humming softly to herself. Watching you bat Blitzo around like a hamster was so therapeutic for me. Do you have any idea how much that turned me on? How freaking cathartic that was. Sympathy tugged at his heartstrings. A wise man would have held his tongue, and yet basic decency compelled him to speak. About that, he's kinda messed up in the head, her tail twitched. Hey, don't tell me you're taking his side now. I'm not. He held up both hands to ward of another angry kiss or an outburst besides. Just saying there's probably more to him than you originally thought. The succubus tilted her head, lips pursed in a scowl, now radiating discontent as she clutched at his arm. Like what? Honestly? He shrugged. I don't know. When I was kicking his can, Veronica giggled, prompting a rueful smile from him before continuing. He was a mess. There was so much self-loathing in his heart, and when I offered him redemption, you would have thought I slapped him from the way he reacted. It's almost like he doesn't think he deserves to live. She deflated with a sigh. All right, that's kind of fucked up. But I don't want to talk about Blitz right now. We're burning daylight. Are we? Yep. She kicked her heels off, tucked her legs into her chest, and removed her stockings, exposing her long legs to him. She traced a finger up the length of her thigh, gaze gleaming. His throat went dry. Vera, horny now, don't care. Shucking her tights off entirely, she planted her hands against his chest, pushed him back down to the bed, and began hitching up her skirt, granting him a glimpse at the black lace beneath before unbuttoning and tossing the racy garment aside, leaving herself clad entirely in her undergarments. You either fuck me right this second or I'm done. I can't stand holding myself back anymore. Your choice. It really was, wasn't it? Worse, he couldn't tell if she was bluffing or not. Her feelings were too muddled to sift through. After his earlier slip-ups, he had done, and was still actively doing, his best to be a gentleman down here. Maybe it was the underworld affecting him. Maybe it was his own rampant desires now that he'd finally figured out how good sex felt. Perhaps it was simply the desire to be loved, something he'd never truly experienced while he was alive. He didn't know. The idea of losing control like that worried him, because just how slipper would that slope be if he kept letting himself go like this? What's the harm? A little voice whispered in his ear. You care about her, don't you? He was fond of her. Then again, he was fond of a lot of folks these days, wasn't he? Emily had captured his heart from the first with her purity. Then came Carmine, followed Karama, and whatever mess he had with Velvet aside, don't think about Charlie and Vaggie. Lucy would flay him alive, and Sarah was a keg of dynamite he'd need to defuse sooner or later. But in a way, Veronica had helped to shape his view on Hellborn as a whole, not just sinners. Now here she was pouring her heart out to him. Could he really just sit by and do nothing? Well, Verosica hooked a clawed finger in the strap of her bra ready to bare her bosom to him. In or out, what's it gonna be? Naruto dragged a hand down his face and exhaled in a barely restrained sigh. Do you gotta phrase it like that? That depends. Her grin grew. Is it working? Would you rather I serenade you? Eh? The succubus clapped her hands, her form flickered in a burst of light, and he found himself gazing a human version of herself. In an instant, she adopted the appearance of a light brown-skinned woman with her once golden-pink eyes, now possess white sclera. Her long hair had gone a somber blonde with pink undertones ranging from darker to lighter towards the tips, along with auburn roots and a light pink streak down the length. Likewise, she appeared noticeably taller in her human disguise than her regular appearance, and her arm tattoo was nowhere to be seen. Curious that, but why would she show off like this? "We yell Tilda," she crooned at him, cupping his chin in one hand. "Like what you see, Tilda. I can be whatever you want me to be, Tilda." No, no, no. He knew full well how powerful the song of a succubus could be, and while he doubted it would have any lasting effect on him, he wasn't willing to risk plunging even further into depravity. Shaking his head, he reached out and gripped both her hands in his, drawing her close. "You're fine just the way you are." Verosica giggled, drew back, and ditched the disguise, like a bad outfit. By the way her eyes glowed, he had the sinking suspicions she'd been testing him just now. Apparently, he'd passed with flying colours, because she drew back, lifted her hair, and removed her bra with a flick of her wrist. The garment sailed over her shoulder, lazily discarded amidst the growing pile of her clothes, granting him a glorious view hellborn and sinners alike would have slaughtered to see. How in the hell was she jealous of Kurama when she had a rack like that? How the heck did she keep them contained? No, never mind that. How did Blitzo fumble someone like this? All you had to do was not be nice to her, tell the truth, and not be a dick. It wasn't that hard. Well, well, well. Look at you, staring. Verosica crawled closer against him, tail twining happily behind her. Now I know what you like. Still, that's not very fair of you, is it? Seed Tail touched his chin, teasing him. Here I am stripping for you, and you haven't lost a single scrap of clothing. Let's fix that. Up we go, Tilde. Before he could think to protest, she grabbed the collar of his robe and yanked, hurling it away, leaving him clad in a pair of long black breeches. His face warmed regardless. Sure, he could always create another robe with his powers if need be, but he hadn't expected Verosica to be this bold. There, she crooned. Now we're even. Well, mostly. There's no need to be so skittish. I'm not going to bite you. Well, she amended with a dark chuckle, not unless you want me to. Come here. She held her arms out to him expectantly. He buried his head in her hair and sighed, only to realize his mistake a moment later because she immediately latched onto him, forcing his face deeper into her shoulder. She smelled so damn nice. Like lavender and sweets. What kind of perfume was that? No, focus up. His succubus hummed in his ear. You've been holding back too, haven't you? Her hand stroked the small of his back as she spoke, clawed fingers sending sparks of sensation shooting up his spine. What's the harm in cutting loose? Have some fun with me. You know you want to. He sighed into her. You might regret asking me that. Her lips brushed the outer lobe of his ear. Show me who you really are. His control slipped. Fuck it. In the end, there was only so much an angel, or a man could take. His hands settled around her waist, took a hold of her hips and pulled her directly into his lap. The moment he did, Verosica exhaled in a relieved sigh of her own and threw herself at him, wrapping her arms around him as her tail twined around his left arm. She had been bluffing after all, he realized. If he'd said no earlier, she probably would have tackled him the second he turned his back on her. None of that mattered now, but it was good to know all the same. This time, when her lips sought his, he returned her affections, not reluctantly but with gusto. When he reached for the last of her underwear, however, she batted his hands away with a sly smile. Let's stay like this for a while. She ground her hips into his, tempting him through the thin fabric with wanton need. It's no fun if we cut straight to the chase, don't you think? He was thinking several things right now, actually, but they all dissolved when she locked her legs around his waist and flipped him over, pinning him to the bed. You've got some experience under your belt, bub. I'll give you that. Verosica leaned down, nipping his cheek possessively as she dragged herself across his chest. But I'm a succubus. Me and my kind were created by the living personification of lust, Asmodeus himself. Her eyes gleamed suddenly, glowing in the gloom of her room. If those bitches think they can outdo me, they've got another thing coming. Her piece said. She dove down and kissed him deeply, hungrily, possessively. From there she tempted him, teased him, tormented him, but didn't toy with him. Naruto felt the latter was an important clarification. He was nobody's toy and gave as good as he got. Nipping and biting in return, when she clawed at his chest, he lavished kisses upon her bosom, graced attention upon her neck, then her lips, when she began to beg for attention. Not an inch of her was spared. Time began to blur as they became tangled up in one another. Truth be told, he soon lost all track of it. Perhaps that was for the best, if only because he knew this couldn't last forever. And then, quite suddenly, it happened. Verusica said it. Between one kiss and another, whispered on a thread of breath, he heard 3 little words, the same set of syllables she'd almost said in the parking lot before Bleeto barreled into them, spoken so softly that even he could barely hear them. I love you. Naruto didn't mean to tense up. Really, he didn't, but his body betrayed him. It was an act of instinct, sheer surprise momentarily overtaking sense. Verusica noticed instantly. Her eyes widened the second she said it, the moment she realized what she'd done, and the trauma of left her rooted where she sat in his lap. Ah, shit! Fuck! She squeezed her eyes shut and dragged a hand through her hair, shaking her head. You didn't hear shit! Forget I said anything, all right? Shit, shit, shit! She buried her face in her hands. That shitty, crummy word fucked up my life once already, and now it's gonna… Vera. I always do this. She didn't seem to hear him. She was too busy swearing up a storm. Every fucking time. Why can't I just keep my mouth shut? Naruto sighed, took her by the chin, thumbed her face back to his and kissed her deeply. Her eyes widened in confusion, but only for a moment. He kissed her again before she could think to argue. A third kiss stripped the last of her resistance away entire. She all but melted into him with a moan, melding herself against him. Finally, he drew back, letting her breathe. She reeled back, eyes half-lidded, gasping for air, one hand touching her lips. That's not fair. Nope. He leaned in to nuzzle his nose against hers. All's fair in love and war. That's so corny, she hiccuped, warbling a little, tears shining in her eyes. You're seriously not gonna run? Naruto gestured expansively at her, presently planted in his lap, preventing him from escaping, not that he had a desire to do so. Does it look like I'm running? I guess not. She stammered out a laugh, her skittishness fading when it became abundantly apparent that he wasn't going anywhere. You're not Blitz. Her fingers grasped at his skin, trailing little circles against his torso as she sought to reassure herself. You're not a coward. You won't up and run like he did. Was she talking to herself? Maybe it was best to let her be. He patted her back, hoping to encourage her. It worked all right, albeit more than he intended. So much more. Verusica jumped him. Yeah, screw it. Her confidence returned as she tackled him back down to the bed and showered him with countless kisses, biting his lip for good measure at the last, as though to reassure herself that he was still present and very much in her life. I love you. There, I said it? Ah, those overlords can kiss my ass. A laugh escaped her lips, high, wild, and slightly hysteric. You've done it now, Buster. You're in my life now. I'm never letting you go. And speaking of letting go, in a startling display of dexterity, she bent her legs at the knees, shimmied out of her panties completely, and tossed them aside. Her eyes met his with intent, all the primal passion of a succulent succubus made manifest. She's gonna break my hips, ain't she? He barely had time to comprehend that strangely pleasant thought before Verusica, she tore him clean out his boxers, planted herself atop, pressed her palms into his chest and began to move. From there, she quickened her pace atop him, all but slamming her hips down onto his in her haste to claim him for herself. Naruto laughed, latched onto her hips and held on for dear life, letting the Hellborn have her way with him. Verusica gazed lovingly down at him, grinning with every movement. Then she went and floored him, in typical Verusica fashion. Give me babies! Chapter 34. I knew it. He's fucking Verusica and Carmilla Carmine. I gotta tell everybody. Blitz, no. No, and no. Bad idea. Even for you. Especially for you. Blitz, yes. Don't tell me what to do, Stolas. I said no. Whoa, hey! Don't break out the demon voice, bird boy. What's gotten into you? Do you not understand the severity of the situation? Did you not see his wings? By your own accounting, the entity you encountered, no, dare I say survived, is likely an angel most high, meaning he is either a seraphim class or a virtue, which also means he is, at the very least, more powerful than me. Ergo, I cannot take him. In a fight, right? Blitz! I will lock you in a box and bury it in the lust ring. No one will find your body. Okay. Just wanted some payback. Sheesh, don't get your feathers ruffled. What's all the shouting for, gentlemen? Perhaps I can be of assistance. But who the fuck are you supposed to be? Of course you would show up. Tilda ruffled feathers. A fine feast. Are you well? Naruto stared down Carmilla Carmine outside her home and really didn't know how to answer that question, or if he even should for that matter, given that his survival instincts were currently screaming bloody murder at him. Sure, he might be dense as a brick when it came to some matters, but that didn't mean he was stupid. Make no mistake, he likely looked a wreck because he was a wreck. His stamina had only just recovered, his bones freshly mended, and he felt like a freshly squeezed lemon. Veronica had milked him dry, literally and figuratively. She had also broken his hips, twice. Apparently an angel could take damage after intensive sex. Who knew? Not him. Credit where it was due, she'd been a woman of her word and rendered every second, every minute, every hour before this dinner an absolutely sinful evening. If she hadn't passed out, he'd probably still be pinned to her bed. Time limit be damned. Also, regenerating from broken hips. Not fun. That hurt like a bitch. Even now, her rapturous expression lingered in his mind, and her words with them. Give me babies, Tilda. He was fine, right? Succubi couldn't have kids, right? Nothing to worry about, right? On second thought, given his luck. Yup, I'm boned. Carmine tilted her head, gaze raking over him like an angelic blade. I didn't expect you to wear a suit. Right, damnably dangerous and very volatile overlord inviting him to dinner. Best get on that. Naruto chuckled nervously and tugged at the high white collar of his outfit, nearly obscuring his jawline from view. The suit had been both a whim and a test of his burgeoning new powers. Veronica had torn apart his last outfit, so he hadn't much to work with. That said, fine. He adjusted his collar one last time in a vain attempt to bleed off the last of his stress and belatedly noticed her attire. And I didn't think you'd be wearing a dress. Carmine lips quirked in a small smile. Surprised? A little. Her flowing black tights and angelic steel-wrapped stilettos were very much the same, but in place of her usual attire, she donned a V-neck-shaped white garment, one that granted him a tantalizing glimpse at her bountiful bosom, before flowing over back into sleeved cloak of some sort, with a red underpinning. She'd even deigned to wear a red flower in her hair and bind said hair behind her back, where it paired nicely with her new black earrings. Really, it was enough to make a man feel underdressed. She looks good. She looked really good. Not cute, not adorable, but elegant and refined, a truly lady of the underworld. Her glowing white eyes gleam at him, set against her scarlet sclera, creasing ever so slightly as she regarded him. As he looked on, she lifted her left leg, fingers caressing her outer thing through the fabric of her tights. Before we begin, there's just one last thing I need to be certain of. Naruto sensed her intentions a second before she moved. He caught her ankle. She's going to kick me again, isn't she? Carmine didn't disappoint, but then again, he had been expecting as much. Sure enough, her heel rocketed in at his face, to which dodged back and threw one of his own, only for her to hop over it, land on his leg, drag the limb down and smash a knee up at his face. He deflected it with an open palm, caught her back with the other and reeled her in until their foreheads touched. Acceptable. She hummed breathlessly and planted a palm on his chest, granting him a stern nod. Your reflexes are sharp as ever, I see. He smiled down at her. Care to test them again? No need, she demurred with a small smile as stepped out of his grasp. I'm satisfied, for now. Some say there is beauty in belief. Others claim that there is beauty in the eye of the beholder. Personally, Naruto believed in both. A beautiful woman was a wonderful thing, but a brutal, beautifully brilliant woman who could kick his ass. Even better. Let that be a warning to you, Carmine chided him sternly. The next time I invite you to dinner, I don't want to smell that succubi's scent all over you. Naruto grimaced. Aha, She knew about that, did she? I'd say sorry, but you're fond of her, Carmine cut in with a sigh. It's fine, so long as she know her place. He bristled a little. And that place is… why, beneath me, of course. Heat flooded his face. You do realize that could be taken multiple ways. I'm well aware. With her piece said, Carmilla opened her door for him and bid him to follow. Do come in. You're attracting attention out here. Naruto followed her. That Carmine Manor was downright palatial compared to most places he'd seen in the underworld, grand in scope and scale. From the first moment he entered, he found his gaze drawn to the gunmetal grey ceiling and the intricate patterns etched above, then a series of flowing white pillars and crimson carpet. The latter led up to a flowing staircase rimmed by white railings, leading to a pale pair of doors, the latter of which were framed in a crimson spotlight, which he could only assume let deeper into her abode. And yet, despite the sheer scope and scale of the place, there wasn't so much as a speck of dust to be seen. The faint scent of citrus told him someone had aired the place out recently, said someone had certainly gone out of their way to liven things up. Belatedly, he spied two figures near the staircase. Carmine straightened up ever so slightly, clasping both hands behind her back, letting him walk slightly ahead of her. He remembered her daughters from that brief overlord meeting, but he and Emily had been too busy trying to wrangle said overlords for him to have a proper recollection of them. And then Velvet had come, wreaking chaos in her wake, and he'd been further distracted. Not so now. Clara was a tall and slim humanoid demoness with puce-coloured skin, curly cream hair tied up in a high ponytail, black lips, eyes with bright red sclera and white irises, and small black horns atop her head. She wore a sleeveless black turtleneck crop top, grey jean shorts alongside a black belt, matching fingerless gloves, long white over-the-knee stockings, and black ballet shoes, much like her mother. Not much of a family resemblance there. Was she adopted? Or did she get it from her father? Odette, by contrast, resembled her mother the most. She was a tall humanoid demoness, svelte and thin with white skin, long light blonde hair flowing gracefully down her shoulders, eyes bearing bright red sclera and white irises, alongside small black horns atop her head. She wore a pair of black circular-rimmed glasses with red-tinted lenses, a long white-buttoned lab coat over a black turtleneck, strangely black gloves, black tights, and a pair of grey pointer shoes resembling her mother's. He was sensing a bit of a running theme there. Wait a moment. Were those horns real? They looked like they were part of a headband or something. Moreover, she didn't quite feel like a demon to his senses, but that meant she might be. Oh! He had several questions. Girls, Carmine gestured grandly towards him. I'm sure you remember our angelic ally, Naruto. Clara hummed and sketched a quick curtsy. A pleasure to see you again. Odette giggled into her hand. Oh, we remember. Carmine quirked a brow. What was that? Nothing, Mother. As he looked on bemused, her older daughter scooted forward to greet him and held out her hand to him. Don't mind her, she hummed happily, eyes crinkling behind her glasses. I'm Odette. We didn't really have a chance to talk before. Naruto glanced down at her pale hand, panicking internally. She clearly expected something of him. But what? What was the protocol for this sort of thing again? Wait, he remembered. He'd seen a movie once. He took her hand, lifted her knuckles to his lips and kissed them politely. Charmed. Her eyes widened. That… You weren't kidding, Mom. He's smoother than butter. He was. He wasn't trying to be. Honest. Will he be staying the night, Mother? Odette's hand lingered just a tad too long on his, fingers brushing his own. Perhaps she was implying something. Perhaps not. In the end, he didn't have a chance to tell, because Carmine took a hold of his fingers and yanked him away from her. Ahem. She granted him a strained smile. We were just about to have dinner. Won't you join us? It didn't sound like a question. Sure. A delightful aroma reached his nose as a nearby butler swept the kitchen door open. Carmine entered first, all but dragging him after her. Odette and Clara followed, hips swaying. A long table awaited them, replete with a white tablecloth atop which lay a great many dishes piping hot, few of which he recognized, and long glasses of wine besides. Even the silverware seemed proper fancy. At a loss for anything to say, he glanced at the tinted red windows and the pale, vaunted ceiling above with a sigh, idly noting the silvery chandelier and matching candles strewn about the walls. Looked fancy enough, but then, who was he to judge? He'd never really been one to critique home decor before. First time for everything. Carmine guided him toward a chair and gestured toward one of the dishes. I understand you have a predilection for pasta. Ramen, actually. The ghost of a smile touched his whiskered cheeks, but thanks for remembering. Carmine preened a little and claimed the seat beside him. Her hips brushed his. Clara and Odette took 2 seats opposite them. The former dug into her meal without a word, but it was the latter who worried him. Why did he have the feeling that he was the meal here for her, and not the food? Don't be shy, Carmine gestured to a dish of spaghetti before him. By all means, dig in. He did so warily, reluctantly even, expecting a trap at any moment. When none came after his first bite, then his second, he dared a third. The pasta really was to die for. One wouldn't think you'd get good ingredients down here, but apparently Carmine had managed it somehow. Wine wasn't all that bad either, so long as it wasn't salted with human souls or anything ghoulish like that. So, he began apropos of nothing, trying to spark a conversation with Claire and Odette. You two work with your mother? Clara nodded demurely. Odette licked her lips. Yes, Daddy. Naruto choked on his food, thumped his chest and forced himself to swallow. Carmine wasn't so fortunate. She spat out her wine, flushing an indignant crimson as she surged to her feet. Odette! We talked about this. Did we, though? Her eldest waggled a brow her way. Did we really? Carmine absolutely hissed through her teeth, eyes blazing. Oh dear. He knew that expression. Naruto reacted without thinking. Draining his wineglass, he swallowed quickly, bolted to his feet, and pivoted in place. From there, he seized her by the hips and yanked her down into his lap, sealed her lips with a quick kiss to calm her down before she could erupt further. The deed done, he drew back, leaving her swooning where she sat. There, crisis averted, and now he wouldn't have to deal with a torrent of angry Spanish syllables. Wait, why was everyone staring? Only then did he finally realize his mistake. He'd grown so accustomed to calming Carmine down in such a manner that he'd done so without a second thought. It had become something of a second nature to him, really. Ah, but now Carmine, she was looking at him with wide eyes for an entirely different reason. She all but squirmed where she sat atop his legs, thighs rubbing together, flushing furiously. Pequeña descarada! You cheeky little... Odette and Clara clapped their hands, squealing in absolute delight at the sight, the little traitors. Is he staying the night? Naruto shrugged, trying to salvage the situation. I mean, if she wants me to, then sure. Carmilla seized a nearby chair and thumped him over the head with it. Is that a no? Her face was a delightful study of contrasts. Bastarda! No need for a translation on that last one, Tilda. Tilda up in heaven, Tilda. Sarah sighed and squeezed Naruto's shadow clone like a stress ball. Speaking of spherical devices, the crystal ball before was absolutely stressing her out. Naruto just couldn't help himself, could he? She was beginning to think he was cursed somehow. Bad enough that he'd wormed his way into the bed of that succubus. The less said about that hellborn, the better. But now this. Love was a wonderful and pure thing, and she couldn't bring herself to dismiss what she'd seen. Mindless lust? Yes. But genuine, heartfelt love? She couldn't discount it as a fluke, nor a flaw, nor even fake. And it stung. She was so damn lonely. She frowned down at the shadow clone still nestled against her bosom. Just how sturdy are you? The clone gulped. Tilda down, we go Tild. Lute hated being on a leash. Hate, hate, hate! All the hate. It boiled up inside her like liquid lava, burning her throat, threatening to choke her. But there was nothing she could do. She was weak. Powerless. Bound. And to make matters worse, Alistair cackled. Oh, my dear, that's such a scowl. Whatever is the matter, Tilda? Lute bit her tongue until she tasted golden blood on her lips. The pain helped center her. With every fibre of her being, she longed to lash out at the sinner standing behind her. Bad enough that he dragged her out here to the hotel's patio where no one could hear them. But that smile, that damn yellow smile. It felt like he was sizing her up, just waiting for the right moment to devour her. She should strike first. Attack! Kill him before he killed her. But she couldn't, because Morningstar would know, damn it. So she swallowed her bile and her blood, forcing herself to face him. Why in the rings did you drag me all the way out here, you detestable creature? Now, no need to be rude. Alistair tittered merrily, staff in hand. Morningstar is rather fond of you. You really should thank him. She glowered at him, not quite comprehending. Why? His grin grew. I had the most delightful idea the other day, but we had a talk, he and I. Such a shame, really. His hand caressed her face. I was quite curious to hear what your screams would sound like in my latest broadcast. Her heart sank into her stomach. Broadcast? But you needn't worry about that. Laughing, he pivoted away from her, twirling his staff. You're quite safe, for now, she bristled. Do it then. I don't care. The radio demon tittered merrily. Oh dear. Don't be so dramatic. We can settle everything without violence. Lute scoffed. Can we? Splendid. I knew you had a brain in there, somewhere. So speaking, Alastor smiled and offered her his hand. Would you like to make a deal? Lute eyed his ominously glowing palm. What kind of deal? Alastor's grin grew. Chapter 35. Excuse me, princes. What do you mean he came back? You don't know where he went? Do you have any idea of the sheer shit show I've been fending off while that blonde bastard was away? No? Didn't think so. Then he goes and pulls this stunt, tossing an imp around the pentagram like a chew toy for everyone to see. Fox is having a field day with it. He's all over the bloody news. Help me find Whiskers before he does something worse. Or someone. Tilda Velvet. A moment's respite. How much did I have to drink last night? Naruto gazed blearily up at the ceiling. Truly a ceiling amongst ceilings. That said, it was a rather unfamiliar ceiling, and therein lay the problem. Because he was presently staring up at while he laid in a very unfamiliar bed, struggling to make sense of his surroundings. There was no such thing as a true sunrise down here in the underworld, but judging by his ache eyes and dry tongue, he felt like it was somewhere between late evening and early morning. My, but that was a wonderful ceiling. So very grey. He could stare at it all a day. He was stalling. Kurama would have thoroughly chewed him out for that if she were here, he knew. No point in avoiding it, even if a small cowardly part of him wished to do just that. Couldn't lay in bed all day now, could he? Time to see what the damage was. Closing his eyes, he took a brisk breath, blinked the cobwebs away, then opened them again to drink the world in. All right, first things first, no clothes, his lower torso completely concealed by blankets. All to the good, that. No need to stare or say anything untoward. There was an arm strewn possessively over his waist, and as he looked down, he found a familiar face nuzzled against his chest. Not a stitch of clothing to her name. Moving was a mistake. The moment he tried to prop himself up on his elbows, said arm latched onto him, locking down tight. He looked down, following said limb to its owner. For all her fierceness, Carmilla Carmine looked deceptively calm in her sleep. Downright peaceful, really. It was rare to see her smile when she was awake, but here and now an almost sleepy smirk wreathed her pale face, serene and quiet. Just like that, the tension drained out of him, and he released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. His smile softened a little as he ran a hand down her flank. You don't have to cling so tight. I ain't going anywhere. A string of sleepy Spanish syllables were his reward, and her grip on him slackened ever so slightly. Hope that meant something nice. All right, it was just her. That was fine, even if she did smell of wine. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Someone groaned beside him. Warm. DEFCON 1! Naruto went still as stone. Indeed, Statue would have envied him his stillness in this moment. Taking a deep breath for bravery, he reluctantly righted himself and craned his neck in a vain-sea, hopeless attempt to reassure himself that he was imagining things. Yes, that's all it was. Merely a figment of his overactive imagination, or barring that, a dream. It was not. He looked down and to his great dismay found Odette tucked into his side, her pale hair long since freed from its ponytail, glasses nowhere to be seen, lips presently nuzzling his pectorals. She was also terribly, horribly naked, and he could see almost every inch of her pearly white skin. He could also feel every inch of her long legs looped around his, body subconsciously grinding him in her sleep. Much like her mother, the cloying scent of wing clung to her like a miasma. His brow twitched. Fuck! No sign of Clara, though. Was he safe? Did he dare to say it? Sa! No, wait. That was her over there snoring at the foot of the bed, hair immaculate, still very much clothed. She was clutching a corked bottle of unfinished wine in her grasp, a further glance as his surroundings confirmed a great many more empty bottles strewn haphazardly about the room. Right, so we know where the wine came from. Kinda safe then. With a sigh and for lack of anything better to do, he flopped back down to bed and glared at the ceiling. From there, Carmine and Odette latched onto him at once, mother and daughter alike currently content to cuddle in their sleep. He suspected they'd be decidedly less enthusiastic once they awoke and saw one another, even with wine involved. If memory served, Carmilla had been decidedly less than pleased about her daughter calling him Daddy, in a way, shape, or form. Resisting the urge to roll his eyes, he cast a glance about himself and, luckily, found no further surprises awaiting him. His eyes drifted shut as he struggled to marshal his thoughts, to no avail. He couldn't keep doing this, couldn't keep screwing things up. Wherever he went, he found himself becoming more and more entangled in affairs of the underworld, growing attached to people down here, sympathizing with their plight. Surely that wasn't wrong. Or was it? Falling in love might be. He'd been skirting that line for a while now, but waking up in bed with someone's daughter, however attractive she might be, was beginning to feel like a bridge too far for him, even if he had been drunk at the time. Frankly, he still considered it a miracle that he could get hammered down here in the first place. Was he going to do something about it? Nope. Did that make him a bit of a coward? Yep. If he had to find out the hard way how folks felt about him, so be it. Booze helped blunt not only the sting of rejection but the fear of getting in over his head. Maybe that was a holdover from when he was alive. The loneliness, the desire to be acknowledged, the need to be seen as something more. He didn't want to consider it ego, but perhaps it was. If he'd been content, he could have stayed up in heaven with all those other posh angels and ignored what was happening down here. But he couldn't. Things were going good, no better than good, so why shouldn't things stay the way they were for a while longer? That was laziness talking, and he knew it, but it didn't change the weight of his thoughts. What am I doing down here? What's my objective? What do I stand to gain? He knew what it was in theory, but ever since he'd come back down here second time, he found himself digging his heels in. What progress have I made? What progress had Charlie's hotel made? Can sinners be redeemed? Yes, he was due to meet with the sins soon, and maybe he could convince them as he had the overlords, but something was nagging at him. How I just been going with the flow, enjoying these easy, lazy days, hoping nothing will change. What will happen when it does? It sounded selfish. Maybe it was. He had grown rather fond of the chaos down here, and the people dwelling in it. Dead or alive, life was always unpredictable in the underworld. He never knew what would happen next, as opposed to heaven with its eternal peace and stagnant. Sure, not everyone was the same, but it felt like he was finally beginning to get a handle on things. The idea of suddenly losing that chaos. What would change if he managed to pull this off? They didn't have any real proof that a soul could be redeemed. Not yet. He wanted to believe in the concept, but, in the end, he didn't have the answers. No point in dwelling on things he didn't understand. Laying here all day wouldn't change anything. He needed some air. Bringing both hands together for a quick substitution jutsu, Naruto marshaled his chakra and swapped places with Clara, then cast a quick transformation jutsu over her, leaving none the wiser. He knew the ruse wouldn't hold up under any real scrutiny, and said jutsu would probably pop the second someone poked her, but it would do for now. From there, he used his powers to conjure himself a fresh pair of boxers and orange trousers besides, and donning them for decency's sake, padded out toward the balcony. Its doors were locked, of course, but a quick flick of his fingers put paid to that, and soon enough, he found them parting under his touch. He stepped out into the underworld was surprisingly muggy, and the red sky down here seldom changed, if at all. Yet despite that, he noticed a change in the air, a watchful presence lingering nearby. With a sigh, he looked to the shadows nearby. There's no point in hiding. Sure enough, movement. A shape detached itself from the wall beside him and rapidly manifested into a shape most familiar. In short order, he found himself face to face with a tall, lanky, spider-like demon, bearing dark grey skin and 4 lime green eyes. He wore all black clothing, with a pitch-black cloak that covers most of his body. At the front of said cloak rested a terrifyingly large black spider with lime green stripes on its 8 legs, eyes, and back. Tonight, curiously enough, he'd also chosen a distinctive big black top hat with a light grey patch at the front, alongside a grey skull and a lime green and maroon striped feather on the right side. Naruto offered a low whistle. The intruder spread their arms wide, revealing the interior of his cloak, a deep lime green etched into a spiderweb pattern alongside 4 red spider legs extending across the fabric. Curiously enough, when he unfurled his cloak, all 4 of his eyes glowed and the top pair gained menacing red irises. It suited him rather well. Indeed, someone certainly looked more impressive tonight than usual. Greetings, Angel. The entity somehow managed to not make the title sound like a curse. How fare you this night, Zestial? He inclined his head in a brief nod of respect. To what do I owe the visit? He was familiar with this particular sinner after all. If only in passing, this entity was the oldest living overlord in power and a dear friend of Carmilla. The greater demon regarded him for a long moment. I could ask the same of you. A wry smile lifted his lips. Come to check up on me, have you? Not you, but rather those you associate with. Zestial pointedly looked past him to the bedroom beyond. Thou moveth most quickly. His eyes narrowed as he beheld the sleeping Carmilla and her daughters. Too quickly, some might say. Naruto sighed. Is that what this is about? Look, I didn't start things with Carmine, but I'm damn well gonna see it through to the end. I'm in it for a long haul. Curious? Zestial hunched over, leaning low to regard him. Then this isn't a, how do they phrase it, fling. Buddy, I literally just met her daughters officially tonight. That overlord meeting didn't count. Zestial considered him for a long moment, green eyes reflecting back at him. Naruto stood his ground in return and refused to budge. That was something he had learned down here. Sinners and demons alike didn't respect a weakness, but rather strength. Any act of tenderness should be for private moments alone. In public, they were capitalized on and ruthlessly taken advantage of. Another thing he wanted to change down here. So you say. Zestial leaned back, tucking in his cloak once more. Have you not considered that this relationship of yours will put her in danger? Of course I've considered it. He clicked his tongue at him. Why do you think Emily and I went to the trouble of conducting that meeting in the first place with all of you overlords? Zestial surprised him with a chortle. As, yes? The smaller seraphim. How fares she? In hindsight, he should have known that was bait. He just couldn't help himself. All 10 of his wings snapped out at once, showering them in holy light. Careful now, he rumbled, eyes gleaming gold. I don't take kindly to threats these days. Nor do I. Zestial didn't bat an eye. Do you see now? You are not so different from us. Naruto tucked his wings in with a sigh. I never claimed to be. No? Zestial tilted his head. You come down here offering us promises of sweet salvation, and yet within a few days, you begin sampling the lights of this realm. Whatever is one to think? All right, that stung a little. It's not lust, it's love. The elder demon all but crooned the word, chuckled once, then shook his head, moving past him. Ah, love. Is there anything sweeter? A dark hand trailed the balcony railing slowly, claws biting into the stone. I don't know whether to be appalled or amused. Pivoting, he looked to him once more. There's nothing wrong with enjoying oneself from time to time. Even angels have desires. This ain't that. No? Zestial rasped a chuckle. Good. It would be most displeasing for me if you were to consider dear Carmilla a conquest of yours. Anger flashed through him, hot and heady. Naruto exhaled it harshly through his nose. I don't. Good. His remark seemed to please the overlord. You truly care for her, don't you? He granted Zestial a nod, 5 clawed fingers slashed out at his face. Naruto didn't at an eye. They'd stopped just shy of his face. Know this, Angel. For the first time this evening, Zestial abandoned his charming smile. If you harm Carmilla or her kin, there will be nowhere for you to hide. Neither above or below. I will find you, and I will kill you. Zestial really was an old fellow, wasn't he? He could respect that. In his youth, he hadn't had the best relationships when it came to old geezers. It took him time to learn patience and eventually respect. With age came experience, and experience brought power. What was the saying? Beware the old man in a profession where men die young. That's the one! This fellow wasn't just old, he was ancient. Probably one of the oldest beings down here next to Lucy and the Sins. When he made a threat like this, it was believable. You're awfully confident. Indeed. Zestial's smile returned, and this time it was sly. I am exceedingly old, and have learned many secrets. We could fight here and now, if you wish. It would be a most amusing diversion. But there wouldn't be any point to it, would there? Naruto finished. Indeed, there would not be. The ancient overlord surprised him with a shake of the head. I cannot kill you, any more than you can kill me. Likewise, I believe you are unwilling to, as I have yet to personally wrong you. Do you intend to? Zestial stood a tad straighter. That depends entirely on you. Do you intend to harm those I hold dear? There it was again, the anger. He breathed it out. I would never. Unsurprisingly, Zestial didn't take him at his word. You say that, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions, as you well knew. The moment stretched on between the two of them, riven with tension. Naruto shifted to the right. Zestial matched him. At length, he sighed. Look, Zest, if we're going to do this, can we do it elsewhere? I don't want to wake the girls. How familiar you are with them. Oddly enough, his casual concern for their well-being broke through to him. You speak as though you would fight and die in their defense. Would he? The answer didn't surprise him. He'd always been like this. That at least hadn't changed. And then, the old overlord hit him with the proverbial dagger to the gut. Carmilla had a husband once. Has she spoken of him? Naruto winced. She did. Zestial blinked. Surprising. Did she tell you what fate befell him? His lips sealed, forming a film line of defiance. I see. No matter, it is not my tale to tell. He looked past him, green eyes, gazing out at the underworld below them. You should know this. There are some sins that must never be forgiven, and others that cannot be forgiven. And which of those did you commit? Zestial regarded him for a long moment. Many, he said at last. There was a time when I made souls quiver with fear, and wrought such havoc as the world has never seen. And when I died, 'twas an era in which I was the most powerful sinner in this realm for a time. My hands ran red with blood. I deserve to be here. These days. Thusly speaking, he turned away from him. I am no longer the most powerful, I confess this. He swept a bleak hand toward the buildings below. There are others who possess more physical might than mine own. I, meanwhile, have grown old. Just as quickly he glanced over his shoulder. However, as I'm sure you well know, power isn't everything. It really wasn't. Zestial seemed to sense that thought because his bleak grin grew. Carmilla is a dear friend, Uzumaki. Be good to her and I will be good to you. Harm her and I will make you wish for death. You may try to redeem us, and you may even succeed with some. But know this. The underworld is a place of monsters. Eye for an eye. Tooth for a tooth, evil for evil. That is the law down here. It doesn't have to be— No? Zestial whirled with a sudden hiss, towering over him. Do you believe you can redeem one such as me? Or her? Or perhaps the radio demon? Do you honestly think that the horrors we have committed can be so easily set aside and forgiven? Just look at Alastor, he who willingly made a pact with one of us long before he died for the sake of power. He who feasts on the flesh of his foes. He who tears souls apart and broadcasts their screams for all to hear. The words hung between them like a guillotine. Naruto sidestepped it as a muscle jumped in Naruto's jaw. Charlie thinks so. Here at last, the elder demon drew back with a sigh. Ah, yes. The princess, she means well, but she is naive. This is not her first flight of fancy to fail, nor will it be the last. Not every soul can be saved. Not every soul deserves to be. Surely you know this. Naruto opened his mouth to retort, only for him to barrel over him. And what of the Hellborn? The blonde lifted his chin in quiet defiance. What about them? Do you believe they can be saved? Zestial relentlessly pressed the attack, a verbal riposte that struck deep. Your relation with that surly succubus seems to suggest as much, or is it merely lust? It wouldn't be the first time one of our kind has been trapped an envoy from on high. To speak so lightly of Verosica? He'd seen the ardor in her eyes, felt the emotion in her voice when she said those 3 wonderful little words. He remembered her tears, how she'd quivered in his arms when he accepted her. Not for what was perceived as, but rather who she was. The moment had been perfect, or as damn close to perfect as one could get down here. Now Zestial would sully even that with his questions. Bastard! For a moment he imagined wrapping his hands around the demon's throat. But only a moment. He let it pass and forced his finger to unfurl from the fists they'd formed. I believe they can be saved too, yeah? You control your temper well. That point of praise proved as sudden as it was unexpected. For a moment there, I genuinely fear for my life. Naruto reluctantly raised his gaze and released his anger, willing it to flow out of him, unburdening his acing chest as he spoke. I'm not some kid anymore. Zestial bobbed his head in agreement. Indeed, you are not. That is why I feel we're going to have this discussion as equals. Do we have to do this here on the balcony, though? His words drew a rueful chuckle from the elder overlord, bittersweet and bemused. In truth, I had wished to wait until you departed, but I had not expected you to send me before then. Then again, it would have been rude for me to ignore your invitation. Ah, he'd shot himself in the foot then. You're one confusing overlord, you know that? I shall take that as a compliment, but let us not diverge from our discussion. Once more those spider-like eyes locked onto him, narrowing into green slits. There are those who revel in debauchery and despair. What will you do with such souls? Kill them? Erase them? Return them to the cycle of reincarnation? Are you authorized to do so? Will they be welcome in heaven? Do you even know? The questions bombarded him one after the other, each chipping away not at his confidence, but rather his resolve. Zestial wasn't even trying to be antagonistic about it. Not really. I don't know. As I thought, I will thank you for putting a stop to the exterminations, however temporary that might be. Your heart, such as it is, was in the right place in that regard. Zestial leaned forward to regard him anew. But what are your intentions down here, truly? Do you intend to save us? Or are you simply trying to prove your comrades wrong? I suggest you think long and hard about the answer. Half-hearted efforts will avail you naught down here. Naruto held his tongue. The silence is your answer. He bristled. Are you calling me a coward? Hardly. Zestial waved a hand between the two of them, dismissing the accusation before it could truly take root. I simply suggest you should take a closer look at who you believe needs saving and who does not. Focus your efforts, if indeed they can bear fruit on them alone. Eradicate those that stand in your way before their grasping hands drag you down. Look, I'm not saying heaven is perfect, Zestial scoffed. Nothing is perfect. Let me finish. Naruto snapped at him before he could build up a fresh head of steam again. I'm just saying, it's better than the pain and squalor you all have to live with day after day. He offered him a hand. Haven't you suffered enough? Isn't this at least worth a try? Zestial considered his outstretched hand with a complicated expression. His brow furrowed and his eyes dimmed. At length he sighed. That kindness will get you killed someday, Uzumaki. Maybe, he smiled. But not today. Warm arms suddenly enfolded him from behind, drawing him into a gentle embrace. White hair tickled the exposed skin of his shoulders. He jolted in surprise, but only for a moment, because a warm and very naked body pressed into his back, bringing a familiar presence with it. Who are you talking to, my love? Carmine's sleepy voice crooned in his ear as her lips brushed his cheek. Come back to bed. He glanced back, only to find Zestial long gone, his soul blanched at the idea of lying, especially to her. Zestial was here. Carmine stiffened for a moment, then muttered a string of sullen Spanish syllables under her breath. Such a meddler. Don't mind him. He means well. She held him just a tad tighter, nuzzling his neck with her nose. I appreciate your honesty. Her hands roved lower, fingers towards his lower torso. Come, we'll have to be quiet, but we still have time before the girls awake. Guilt flashed through him regardless, white hot. He was fairly certain he hadn't touched Clara, but Odette was another story. Look about, Odette. I'm sorry. I didn't intend to... Hush! Carmine spun him around and pressed her lips to hiss, muffling any further protest he might have given. His arms betrayed him and clamped down on her flank, fingers biting into her hips until she made a pleased noise. Her arms looped around his neck as she pressed her bosom into his chest, all but welding herself against him for a single, glorious moment. Finally, she pulled herself away. All is well. Carmine crooned as she took him by the hands and drew back, deliberately bearing her body to him in all her pale, ashen glory. We'll figure that mess out in the morning. She tugged at his fingers with gentle insistence, urging him off the edge from the balcony. For now, let us enjoy this moment of peace while we have it. Come with me. Be with me. Naruto let her draw him down into her arms, then pull him to the floor. From there, she pinned him down with her lips and her hips. Sleep did not come easily. Tilda, Vox sank into his chair with a merry chuckle and cracked his knuckles. All right then, he rasped, cracked screen flickering. Showtime? He was gonna make that angel wish he'd stayed gone. Chapter 36. Breaking news. Angel tosses an imp around like trash, samples a succubus, and does the deed with an overlord. More at noon, Tilda Vox being Vox, otherwise known as a dead man. Don't stay gone. Depressed interlude. I'm ready for the meeting. Morning star fell out of his chair. Granted, he remembered he actually had wings at the last second, but still. Face met floor. Righting himself, he fixed his hair, pushed himself up on his cane and fixed the responsible party with his most fearsome glare, which was somewhat ineffective, given he was currently wearing a sweater plastered with a great many ducks, and his guest was wearing a robe of golden light. "Where did you even come from?" "The sky." "You're not funny." "I'm not trying to be." Naruto Uzumaki stood amidst the piles of his ducks, wings tucked against his back, arms crossed before his chest, face carved from stone. The fact he'd gotten in here without him noticing was, honestly, a little concerning. That bastard was way too sneaky when he wanted to be. That said, he looked tired, utterly exhausted, really, which was worrying, given angels didn't usually get worn out in the traditional sense when they weren't fighting. Case in point, it took a lot to make him tired. This wasn't just physical exhaustion, however. He could see in his eyes. This was a mental malaise, a sickness in the soul. Something was bothering him. No, something was eating at him. "I said I'm ready." He turned his back on him, striding to the door. "Take me to the sins." In his current state. "No, no, no. Everybody panic." "Already?" Morningstar panicked like any sane angel would and latched onto his wrist before he did something they'd all regret. "Now hold on, I thought we were going to wait a few days, let you settle back in." Naruto tore his arm free like a man possessed. "I'm settled. Let's get started." "Yeah, it's really not that simple." He rounded on him. "Then make it simple." "Hey!" Morningstar flared all 6 of his wings, prompting him to do the same. "Just take a breath." "What's the rush?" "Rush?" The 10-winged angel made a noise caught somewhere between a savage snarl and a hysteric laugh. "I've just had my entire worldview questioned, reality torn down around my ears, and now I have to deal with the concept that redemption may or may not actually work?" He dragged a hand through his hair and shook his head. "What have I done since I came down here other than do what I please? What have I accomplished?" Yep, this sounded like Zestial's doing. He had that effect on people. There was a reason nobody mucked about with Hell's oldest overlord these days. Zest was an old friend, really, he was, and one of the few sinners he genuinely liked, but he had a nasty habit of turn your beliefs back on themselves. No just that, but of making you question everything you were, everything you'd been, everything you could ever be. He didn't even do it intentionally. Note to self, spike the shit out of his tea when I see him next. Nobody messes with my future son-in-law, even if said future son-in-law didn't know he would Konde become said son-in-law. Right, okay. He stepped back, realizing he probably didn't want to be touched right about now. "And you're coming to me with all this instead of Alastor because—" "I'm definitely not going to Alastor. Definitely not the Bellup. And I'm not coming to you with anything." Sure enough, Naruto immediately dismissed the concept of assistance with the wave of a hand in the next moment. "I just want to get that damn meeting over with because everyone has been pestering me about it. So take me to them already." "I can't find them on my own." "About that." Morningstar placed both palms together before his face in a temporizing motion. "You're not in the best mindset for that right now. So why don't we wait? Or better yet, why not pay that feisty vixen of yours a visit? Maybe talk to her about this." Naruto flung up his arms. "I can't. This concerns Kurama just as much as me." A moment of silence passed between the two of them. At length, the shorter angel tilted his head. "So, am I helping you, or not?" Naruto granted him a mulish look. "I don't need help. I just need to do what's right." "Ah, and now they came to the crux of the matter. The meat on the bone. And what do you think is right?" Naruto paused, opened his mouth, closed it now, considered. The King of Hell heaved a sigh and dragged a hand over his pale, painted face. "I am entirely too old and have way too many issues to be playing therapist here. On the other hand, helping a friend. Take that depression." Taking a big step back, he sat on his bed and patted the space beside him. "Sit." Naruto didn't budge. Morningstar patted the bed anew. "Come on, it's comfy." Uzumaki blinked, not an eye. "All right, fine." Hard way it was. "Look, earlier you asked what you've done down here, right? Now, I don't know if that was a hypothetical question or not, but you've won hearts and bodies. So many bodies, I can hardly keep track of them all." "Lucy." "And mines." Morningstar defensively raised both hands before his fellow blonde could thump him over the head. "You've changed lives for the better, I'd like to think." "Name one." He began counting down off his fingers. Me, Charlie, Vaggie, Emily, Sierra, Carmine, Karama, Verosika, and Adam, apparently. Oh, and that velvet chick. She's coming around. He held up all 10 fingers, hands splayed. Also, shame on you for making me remember that many names. That's more than one, he winked. You never said I had to stop at one. With that, something in the whiskered angel's stone-hard visage finally began to crack. Such a goofball. You know it, Tilda. Do you really think it'll work? The sudden question startled him. Charlie's dream. Ouch. Yeah, he knew what he meant. We're way too sober for this. He lifted a pillow in search of a bottle. Pretty sure I've got some liquor around here. No! Naruto's vehemence surprised him. No liquor, no wine, and no booze. I don't want us to lose my mind more than I already have. Fine, he shrugged, resolving to find one for himself later. Have it your way. All right, shoot. A blonde brow rose. Okay. Poor choice of words. Naruto finally unbent enough to sit beside him. Why is she so obsessed with redemption anyway? Again, lot to unpack there. The best way to describe it would be, well, let's call it an IED for short. Naruto looked like he couldn't decide whether to laugh or be appalled. Are you seriously describing your daughter's dream as an improvised explosive device? Morningstar smacked his knee. No, you dolt! Idealism, empathy, and dreams. He cast a wistful look to the ceiling and the skylight above. She really does take after her mother. Maybe she's a bit more naive about it, but she's got moxie. She wants to protect people. Everyone deserves a second chance, that sort of thing. He couldn't quite contain the wistful sigh that followed. That's my girl. But some don't want a second chance. His eyes burned red. You think I don't know that? Naruto leaned back. Hoo boy, sorry about that. Morningstar tugged at his collar. Got a bit heated there. Honestly, that girl's sweet as sugar. She'd be right at home in heaven with Emmy. The former hero squinted at him. That sounds suspiciously like a request. If only it were. He'd send Charlie up to the pearly gates if he knew she'd be happy up there. Key word being if. Angels weren't perfect. Maybe it is. In the end, he shrugged. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Her method is definitely better than your exterminations. Naruto stomped a foot. Hey! I didn't exist when those started. I put a stop to them the second I found out. But for how long? Morningstar didn't enjoy challenging him, honest, but he had to in this instance. Loot raised a fuss. How long until someone else does? Give folks an inch and they take a mile. Maybe everyone deserves a second chance. Maybe even a third or a fourth. Where do we draw the line? By ferreting out the bad ones where we find them. Can't you sense emotions? A blink followed. No, can you? Naruto squinted at him. Yes? I thought that was something all angels could so. Aha, no. Pretty sure you're unique on that front. Not even Sierra? Ask Sarah. He missed her, fussy britches though she was. If she can, she's never told me. We were thick as thieves back in the day. She was always uptight, even back then, but she loosened up when I was around. He turned a sly smile on Uzumaki. Be good to her. Naruto averted his gaze. I don't know what you mean. Sue or you don't. For an angel, you really don't hold up that whole virtue shtick. And you've got more wings than me. When Naruto didn't answer, he patted the younger angel's knee. Look, the point I'm getting at is this. Just because redemption hasn't happened before doesn't mean it's impossible. Give it some time. Don't let the words of others drag you down so easily. Take a more direct hand in helping Charlie and Vaggie with redemption. Watch her work. Offer ideas. The result just might surprise you. And how long has your daughter been trying? The question of questions there. He almost didn't want to answer, but he owed him honesty. Not very long, but it's the thought that counts. Naruto turned his gaze back to the skylight above. The thought that counts, huh? They sat in companionable silence for a while, saying nothing, idly listening to the occasional background noise of the hotel. It was never quiet here, not truly, but he didn't regret moving in for a moment. He should be where his daughter was, even if they fought sometimes, even if they didn't entirely agree on everything. Family supported one another. She was all he had left of Lilith. He wouldn't screw up this time. He refused. Not when future grandbabies might be involved. He really did need to find a way to broach that to Blondie over there, because insofar as Naruto went, he seemed dense as a brick. Then again, it wasn't his place to speak up and ruin things. Never mind, Vaggie. Charlie would absolutely have his hide. He liked his skin where it was, thank you very much. Attached to his body, not nailed to the wall. Eventually, another thought occurred, and reluctantly, Morningstar gave voice to it. Still, I'm surprised how quickly you managed to calm down. There. A non-committal noise and a somewhat confused hum was his reward. Excuse me? Did you, not see what happened on the television recently? Naruto quirked a brow his way, at a loss. Should I have… Oh, shit. Maybe he shouldn't have said anything. The entire hotel shook. I'm back, bitches. Below, someone kicked the front door down in a shower of smoke. Valentino strode in, grinning from ear to ear. I finally found my guns, Tilda. Chapter 37. I'm gonna kill him. Naruto, no. No, and no. We talked about this. You're right. We did talk about this. Thanks for that. Because of you, I've made up my mind. Naruto, no. Naruto, yes, Tilda. Tilda? Moth to a flame Alastor heard the explosion. He smelled the smoke, tilted his head, and then he smiled. It was the only word Lute's broken mind could conjure in that instant. The sight before her was such that even she, a fallen angel, couldn't hope to properly react to it. But her body did, or rather her soul. She lurched up out of her chair and recoiled from him. No, it? This thing! Monster! Fear! Existential horror! The death of all hope! Raw, nameless dread! The strangling of goodness! The very murder of sunshine itself! Alistair laughed suddenly, sharply, a brief bleat of amusement that proved as brief as it was vile, his teeth gleaming in the gloom, and Lute was suddenly, infinitely glad she hadn't made a deal with this thing yet. And yet a small part of her almost wanted to, if only to have a portion of that power for herself. Just what was he? The radio demon rose from his table, meal forgotten, and set his fork down with an audible clink of sound. Lou flinched, realizing just how loud it was in the sudden silence. If she still had wings, she would have hidden behind them. Because she didn't, she had go settle for skittering back like a skittish mouse instead. Never thought she'd use those words in a sentence. Oh ho ho ho, sounds like Cheeky Picture Box actually sent one of his goons. I didn't realize he was that stupid. He paused suddenly, as though listening to a voice only he could hear. Or perhaps he didn't send the moth after all. Well, that changes things, doesn't it? Without warning, his grin grew tenfold, voice crackling with static. Delightful. I simply must watch this. Adjusting his black bow tie, he twirled his staff and looked her way. Don't be afraid, my dear. We're about to witness some lovely entertainment. In a swirl of shadow, he disappeared, only to instantly reappear behind her, plant one hand against her back, and frog march her out the door and into the hall. Come along now. Wouldn't do to miss the show. What show? She struggled against him, all for naught. Alistair cackled merrily. We're about to witness the death of a star. Tilda. I'm back, bitches. The entire hotel shook as someone kicked the front door down in a shower of smoke. Valentino strode through it, grinning from ear to ear, armed to the teeth. I finally found my guns, Tilda! Adjusting his glasses, he craned his neck in search of his first victim. Vindictive glee burned through him, hot and heady as he gaze raked across the parlour. He'd caught the entire hotel off guard. Better yet, they didn't see hide nor hair of feisty fox bitch this time. Not that it mattered. Even if that vixen was skulking about, he'd come prepared. Angelic steel, baby. Holy bullets in all 4 pistols! Papa was packing heat. Tilda, what's this? He crooned as everyone balked at him. No warm welcome for a fellow sinner. His grin twisted as Husk hunkered down behind the bar. And here I thought you folks welcomed everyone. No one made a sound, not a soul. Clearly they were cowering in fear of him. Just the way he liked it. While he'd like nothing more than to belt the bitch that boxed Vox Tilda ooh that rhymes. He had bigger fish to fry, spiders and moths and deer. Oh my Tild. Ha! Another rhyme. He was in a damn good mood. Couldn't help himself. Why had Vox been so wary of this place anyway? Clearly they were a bunch of wusses. Husk popped back out from behind the bar and tossed something at him. Nifty, I choose you. Bad boy, Tilda! Bad what now? Oomph! Something hit his chest like a flung stone. He staggered back in disbelief and looked down to glimpse a tiny one-eyed imp leering up at him, grinning from ear to ear. She latched onto him like a limpet, clinging to his red robe for dear life. She spooked him so badly his wings popped out for a second there. The hell are you? Why did she have a knife in her hand? And why did he have a bad feeling about this? Oh, you're actually a bug, not a bad boy. Sorry about that, Tilda. she crooned, gigging madly. Vaggie and Charlie are busy and Karama told me to kill any bugs I see. Like your glasses, though. She dove into his coat and started stabbing. All hell broke loose. Pedazo de mierda! You little shit! Valentino shrieked like a maniac and started clawing at himself, a fact that was somewhat complicated by the fact that each of his 4 hands was currently clutching a pistol. That shit hurt. It wasn't angelic steel, but it still stung like a bitch, and she kept stabbing him, which meant he couldn't grab her. Dropping one of his guns, he finally managed to get a hold of the little gremlin and toss her into a wall. It didn't occur to him to shoot her until she'd already left his grasp. Shame, that. She would have been a useful hostage. That was a mistake. The second Nifty struck the wall, she vanished into darkness, almost like someone summoned her out of danger. Weird. Not his problem. Rounding on the rest, he retrieved his weapons and cast an eye about for his favourite toy. Now where's my bitch? Well, he revelled in the fear frozen across their faces, their horror. No sign of Hell's little princessa. Princess, though. Meh. He'd deal with her later. Maybe make her star in one of his videos, when Daddy Dearest wasn't looking. Whoops. He'd gotten ahead of himself. First things first. Aha, Tilda. He caught a quick gleam of lavender and grey that might have been the damn dirty angel Emily darting upstairs, but was soon distracted by another, juicier prize. Let her go get reinforcements. Wouldn't matter. Angel Dust ducked behind the sofa, but it was too late. He'd seen him. Seizing him by the sleeve, he hauled him out of hiding. Angel baby! There you are. He jammed a pistol under his chin, teeth bared. Up you go. Time for work, Tilda. Val, come on, this ain't the time. He backhanded him. Don't talk back. See this? He pressed another pistol to his forehead with a snarl. Angelic steel. 1 bullet and you're done. Now be a good boy and come with me. The little shit actually glared at him. Him! He'd made him a star. How dare he look at him like that? He was gonna mess him up so bad. Valentino? A sharp voice snapped at him, waspish and angry and so familiar. He'd almost forgotten what she sounded like. The fuck are you doing here? Velvet vaulted over the railing and stormed his way, fists clenched at her sides. Hair down. That was new. Violet dress, too. Strapless. Someone was trying to look good. He tossed his toy aside to face her fully. He could always collect him later. This looked fun, Tilt. There you are, Velvet. We've missed you. And then, just because he was feeling petty today, he twisted the proverbial knife. You've done enough spying. We've got them by the balls now. Time to go. A series of startled gasps or hisses in the case of a certain snake echoed behind him, and his grin grew as he briefly leered at the lot of them. Oh, did she not tell you? Vel, you sneak! The giggle that followed wasn't forced in the slightest. She's been keeping tabs on you all this time, Tilda. The denizens of the hotel looked to her, incredulous. She winced. It ain't like that. Now, don't be shy. It was your idea, after all. If there was one thing he loved more than sex, it was wrecking relationships and destroying friendships. It always gave him such a rush. All right, that's enough. Valentino clicked his tongue. Who dared ruin his fun? He'd end them. But there was the princess's bodyguard descending the stairs, hair out of place, face flushed, clothes in disarray. Oh, Tilda? Seemed he'd interrupted someone's frisky time, so why did she look so amused? That infamous spear of hers was nowhere to be seen. Vaggie granted him a wry grin. You fucked up. Have I? He pointed a pistol at her. You want to die that badly. Charlie Morningstar poked her head over her shoulder, eyes blazing. I think you need to leave. Husk laughed in the background. Think he's realized he done goofed? Nifty giggled as she plonked down atop his shoulder. Nah, not yet. Angel righted himself with a cough. Give it a minute. Wait, why were they all smiling at him? Something rumbled just overhead. Vel looked worried suddenly. How unlike her. Val, you need to go. What? He rounded on her, incredulous. Why? Don't ask questions, you fucking idiot. You need to get out of here right now. Go? He belted out a laugh. I'm just getting started. I'm the one with all the power here. I wouldn't be so certain. His gaze snapped up to the balcony above and found the radio demon himself looming there, grinning like an all-you-can-eat buffet had just been laid out before him. There was someone standing behind him, but he couldn't get a good look at them. Her? Probably didn't matter. Valentino pointed another pistol at him. What, you want some too, Antler Boy? The radio demon loomed there, tittering, but made no move to attack. In hindsight, should have been his first warning. Alas, he didn't heed it. Don't mind us, Tilda. Alistair waved down at him. We're just here to watch the show. What show? Velvet's voice peaked in distress behind him. Val, for once in your life, do the smart thing and kindly fuck off, he spat at her. No, estoy furioso. Los mataré a todos. Nope, I'm pissed. I'll kill 'em all. Something crashed down through the ceiling behind him. No, not something. Someone. He rounded on them instinctively and nearly went blind on the spot. 10 golden wings burst into the air before him, each shining brighter as the sun. Black spots danced before his vision as great glowing eyes met his, not with holiness or kindness nor mercy, but an altogether different emotion. Whiskered cheeks pinched in a tight scowl of displeasure. Kurama crashed down behind him through an opening of her own, 9 tails thrashing furiously behind her. And then the big boss of hell himself did the same damn thing, superhero landing and all. Charlie wailed. Please stop blowing holes in my hotel. A flicker of fear flitted through Valentino's black heart, but only for a moment. Uzumaki wouldn't do shit. Not with that footage all over hell. The last thing he'd want was another scandal, right? He wouldn't let anyone touch him, right? He still had all the power here, right? Right? Naruto smiled. It was both the first and last thing Valentino saw. An open palm cracked across his face, sending teeth flying, then him with them. His face struck a wall and slid down it, ruining his makeup. He dragged himself upright, swearing furiously. Ya basta. Te arrancaré las entrañas y te estrangulare con ellas. That does it. I'm going to rip out your guts and strangle you with them. All he received was a flat stare. I don't know who you are or where you're from. I'm from fucking Florida. But I've had enough of you. Another slap dented Valentino's cheek. I've endured enough. A second spun him right round. I've endured more than enough. A third squashed his face. And I just don't have the patience for it anymore. Stop! Valentino stumbled back, warding an arm before himself. Just fucking stop. Desperate, he conjured a golden piece of paper before himself. See this? This is a soul contract. It belongs to Angel Dust. You lay so much as another finger on me, and he'll never be. Naruto slashed a hand through it, rendering it so may motes of golden light on the wind. He heard the sound of chains shattering, and with it, his last line of defense. No, it went deeper than that. He'd felt it just now. Not just that contract had been rendered void, but every one he'd ever made. The blazing blonde lowered his arms, smile gaining an edge. You were saying... Valentino's words died in a withering rasp. I've fucked up, haven't I? Alistair hummed from the balcony. Yes, you have. Stale sweat beaded upon his brow. Naruto stalked forward, enraged beyond belief. The moth sinner flung up one of his guns and fired on the arrogant angel, but the bastard caught the bullet between his teeth, bit down, and kept coming, all without missing a beat. Metal as all hell, but also terrifying. He'd never seen someone do that. Afraid. Good. You should be. Motherfucker, did you just read my emotions, Urk? A hand closed around his collar, yanked him down into a bruising headbutt, shattering his shades. Red glass flew everywhere. A fist slammed into his gut, folding him like yesterday's laundry. Blood and bile burst from his bruised lips, only for a knee to slam up into his chin, sending him staggering. Naruto snatched the hat from his head and casually smacked him it, and it was that almost lazy disrespect that sent him howling over the edge. Valentino did what he did best, what he always did when he was angry. He lashed out. Eat lead. Lunging forward, he ducked a punch, jammed all 4 of his guns into either side of the blonde's ribs and unloaded on him. Someone cried out. He never knew who. Didn't much care, really. Blondie was as good as dead now. Naruto didn't budge. He stood there stoically, silently, taking each round. 10 seconds passed. Finally, Valentino felt the triggers click slack on him, the magazines empty. Blank eyes regarded him through the gun smoke, utterly unfazed. One blink. That was his reward. Nothing more, nor the slightest grunt of pain. Aghast, he gazed at the blonde's ribs. Though he'd ruined his outfit, the skin beneath was utterly untouched. Not even the slightest scarring, let alone bruising. Angelic weapons should have done something. He ought to be bleeding out now. What was he? A hand lashed out, slapped the pistols from his hands and seizing him by the collar, dragging him close enough to bite. Do you believe in redemption? What? He belted out an incredulous laugh. Fuck no. I don't give a shit about any of that. Why not? What kind of question was that? Valentino laughed at it and him. Because I don't care. I eat who I want, kill who I want, fuck who I want. Why should I want to change? Those soulful eyes stared into his. Because you should want to be better. Val spat in his face. Yeah, well, I don't. I see. Oi, Whiskers. Velvet chimed in behind him. Maybe you should let Val go. He's learned his lesson. He couldn't help but sneer at his fellow overlord. What lesson? That you're all a bunch of pussies? Val, shush. Trying to save your life here. Don't need to. Val found himself laughing at her all over again. I'm untouchable. He'll send me home with a slap on the wrist and a warning. It's what angels do. Val? Naruto blinked once, confused. Realization dawned a moment later. Didn't make for a pretty picture. This is Valentino? You didn't even know when you were wailing on him? No? An almost rueful smile touched the blonde's visage, if only for a moment. Valentino couldn't have that. He hated it. Hated him. Fucking angel. You think you've won? Sneering, he grasped his, the wrist holding him with all four hands. Well, you haven't, bitch. Sure, you cut my contract, but this isn't over. It won't ever be. Leaning forward, he leered at him with all his might, granting him a grin with his broken teeth, looking like some feral creature out of the dark when in truth he felt even worse. Better keep a close eye on your friends. It would be such a shame if something happened to them. Naruto regarded him for a long moment. You really don't want to be a better person, do you? I said no. The angel sighed. I believe you. Then get your fucking hands off me. Emily came racing back from upstairs. Wait! She may as well have told time to stop for all the good it did her. Naruto's fist slammed into Valentino's stomach and burst out his back in a shower of blood. He knew, because he saw it jutting out of his belly. His eyes bulged in disbelief. Startled, he found himself dropped, let to slump down to his knees, clutching the wound to no avail. One glance at it told him he was finished. Death. This was death! There would be no coming back from this. Charlie yelped in the background as Vaggie held her back. Naruto, no! No, no, and no! We talked about this. You're right. He glanced over his shoulder at her. We did talk about this. Thanks for that. Because of you, I've made up my mind. Redemption is possible, but only for those who deserve it. His gaze swung back. He doesn't. If we leave him alive, he'll only cause more trouble. So I'll finish what he started. Alastor applauded. Good show. Off with his head. Morningstar reluctantly averted his gaze, and Emily with him. Kurama crossed both arms before her bosom and nodded. Do it. The princessa, bless her naive heart, tried to plead with him one last time. Naruto, stop! This isn't you. This isn't what you do. You don't do this. I do now. Uzumaki approached him and summoned a golden sword of light into his right hand. Firmly grasped it with his left now. Swung it back like a scythe with intent. Any last words, Valentino? If I have any, now's the time. So many emotions welled up in him. Anger, fear, despair. Valentino choked on his own blood and leered up at him. Some angel you are. You're no better than the rest of us. Glassy eyes regarded him coldly. What do you know about angels? I'm starting to think Adam had the right of certain things. Irredeemable scum like you aren't worthy of a second chance, but I offered anyway. You spat in my face. You threatened those I hold dear, and you expect mercy from me. Yes, because that was what the good guys did. They were weak, easily taken advantage of. It was only when they became ruthless just like him that you had to watch out. Naruto scowled down at him. Then let's answer your question with another question. Would you have shown me any mercy if I threatened your friends? Damn it, he had him there. The silence was his answer. He couldn't even be angry after an answer like that. Uzumaki closed his eyes and took a breath to steady himself. His eyes opened. Ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. In his last moment, Valentino looked westward. Sorry, Val. Tell Vox I fucked up, Naruto slashed down. Tilda Sarah gasped, both hands flying to cover her mouth in a vain attempt to stifle it. The scene in the crystal ball before her didn't lie. Truly, the sight should have horrified her. So, why did she feel so warm? Adam leaned back beside her. Who boy? Tilda, Valentino's head rolled. Naruto watched it tumble past him and planted a foot on it, holding it in place. Maybe he'd sent it to Vox in a basket. That might put a kink in his plans. He really thought he'd feel bad killing a sinner, but he didn't. If anything, he felt relieved. Monsters like Valentino deserved nothing less. Banishing his weapon, he looked to the denizens of the hotel. Their reactions were mixed. Velvet wouldn't look at him. He'd talk to her later. Right now, he had bigger concerns to deal with. Charlie stepped back. You killed him. Glowing eyes met hers. I did. And don't you feel bad? He blinked. Should I? Hell no. Angel Dust sprang to his feet and flung up his arms. I don't give a fuck. He had that coming. And you cut my contract while you were at it. Best day ever. Angel! Come on, Charlie. Don't get your panties in a twist. If anyone deserved to be exterminated, it was that guy. I say we throw a damn party. Who's with me? Charlie tried to speak, to say something in response. Charlie failed to do so. Charlie fled. Chapter 38. Morningstar, you fool! Do you have any idea what you've unleashed? He's not going to stop now. Oh, well, to be fair, I had the best of intentions. You always do. How has that worked out for you so far? Hey, in hindsight, I didn't think he'd go full murder hobo on that poor bastard. Never mind what happened next. I am hanging up the phone now, Morningstar. Calm him down, or so help me, I'll come down there and you will wish you'd never been born. Well, that was a productive conversation. She's seriously head over heels for him, isn't she? I heard that. Tilda, Sarah, and Lucy. Takedown Charlie fled. Not just from him, but everyone. Thankfully, he'd seen that coming a mile away. Naruto watched her make for the doors with a sigh. Honestly, she was so slow, even when she tried to run away. Not her fault. He had high standards when it came to agility these days. He'd simply grown accustomed to chasing down faster foes. Semantics, he supposed. She was neither a foe nor even prey, but a friend, one in desperate need of understanding and a shoulder to cry on, even if she didn't want to admit it. So he did what any good friend would do. He calmly reached out, caught the fleeing Hellborn by the wrist and held tight. She didn't look at him, didn't say anything, barely even breathed, and only then to quiver silently. Who, boy? He didn't think it'd be this bad. All right, look, I know you're upset. She rounded on him, teeth sharp, eyes blazing red. Her palm cracked across his face. Hard. Honestly, it hurt less than he'd, though it would. Lucy punched harder. Stars burst before his vision, but he blinked through them. The pain barely even fazed him, and took it on the cheek without blinking, having already anticipated that outcome. Naturally, he ducked the next swipe, caught her by the wrist when she went for a third, spun her about, then reeled her into the mother of all hugs like a guppy on a fish line. This guppy had teeth! She bit him, right on the nipple. Ouch! He hissed in annoyance and glared down at her. Will you calm down? She headbutted his chin, trying to stun him and make him let her go, but he wasn't having it. Charlie! No! She transformed and clawed at him, fire burning in her hands, horns sprouting from her head as she exerted herself. Don't touch me! You're horrible. Heartless. Ouch, right in the heart. Assuming an angel had one. Hellfire from a Hellborn also freaking hurt, especially when said Hellborn was supposedly the second most powerful being in hell, just below her papa. Said papa was looking mighty conflicted right about now. He couldn't decide who to help. Emily and the others weren't much help either. Alistair was absolutely grinning the fiend. How could you? His gaze snapped back down to the squirming Hellborn locked in his arms. You were perfect! She all but wailed the last word, tears tumbling down her pale face. You were everything that an angel should be. I believed you. I trusted you. And then you go and do this. Perfect? Him? Nothing further from the truth. This? Anger sparked in him. You're acting like committed a crime, princess. You just did. A furled, flaming finger stabbed upward, smouldering against his chest. You slaughtered a soul. You extinguished a life. That's no better than extermination. Seriously? No, calm Naruto. She doesn't understand. Likewise, she didn't deserve his anger. Breathe. Look, he growled, redoubling his grip when she stomped down on his foot. I gave Valentino every chance to leave or repent. He refused. You saw it. You heard it. Not to mention all those threats he made. Angel Dust scoffed in the background. Bastard got one too many chances if you ask me. Charlie glared daggers at him. Not sorry. Naruto took a hold of her face and steered her vision back to his. Can we focus? Daddy's little princess didn't like that. Nope, not one bit. Charlie grabbed him by the robes, lifted him with incredible strength, spun him around and slammed him into a wall. He allowed it, idly frowning as he watched the plaster crack against his back. Stronger than she looked, this one. If she weren't so damn nice, he might actually be worried. Everyone refuses at first. Charlie leered at him, tail cracking like a whip behind her. How long do you think it took me to convince Angel Dust to stay here? Awkward coughing ensued behind him. Let's not talk about that. Vaggie tilted her head with a wry smile. Wasn't it only a few, not a word out of you? Naruto heaved a sigh, trying to clear the air and failing miserably. He could see where Charlie was coming from. Really, he did. Even if she was pants at explaining herself. Should he feel bad for killing a soul in cold blood? Maybe. Did he? No. In his mind, there could be only response to the death of someone like Valentino. And that was relief. Angel and his ilk would never suffer again. With that thought firmly in mind, Naruto crossed both arms before his chest, undaunted. I killed a bad person. I'm not sorry. Charlie flung up her arms, inadvertently dropping him in the process. Everyone's bad down here. Her voice had trembled just now. Weakness! Naruto's every instinct kicked in and he pounced on it on Charlie without thinking, seizing the distraught girl by the hips and lifting her before surging forward to pivot and press her against the first solid surface he found, all but sitting her upon it. It sure as hell wasn't that crumbling wall behind him. It just so happened to be the check-in desk. Then why bother with redemption in the first place? Someone gasped. Sounded like Vaggie, but no one stopped them. Because they can change, Charlie cried, voice cracking. Valentino could have changed. Naruto scoffed. You don't believe that. I do. Charlie retaliated by kicking out furiously both feet. When that didn't work, she locking her legs around his hips and wrenched herself to the right, trying to toss him. She would have had better luck redeeming Alastor. Naruto didn't budge, which left Morningstar's daughter in a rather compromising. Good thing she was wearing a suit, not a dress, or she'd be giving the hotel quite a show right about now. Even so, she didn't let go. To be perfectly fair, neither did he. Charlie's stubborn, overweening pride meant she didn't dare release him for fear of looking weak, and he couldn't let go because the moment he did, she'd drop and crack her head. Planting a palm against the nearby wall for better balance, he glowered down at her as the leash of his temper and restraint began to fray more and more with each passing moment. No, you don't believe that at all. He couldn't be redeemed, Charlie warbled. You don't know that. Neither do you. As one, all 10 of his wings burst from his back at once, overshadowing anything she might have said. Charlie flinched. Perhaps the shock loosened her lips. He couldn't say. Regardless, it happened. Killing a person like that makes you just as bad as a sinner. Oh, now she'd done it. Do you have any idea how much interference I've been running for you? Her glowing eyes fluttered shut and open in a brief, befuddled blink. Do you? He all but shouted her down, taking full advantage of his greater height to loom large of her, pressing her down into the desk until she was all but hanging off him. Everything I've done in the background for your sake? Talking to the overlords, calming Sarah down, arranging a meeting with the Sins. Lucy raised a hand. Actually, that last one was my idea, Naruto hissed him into silence. Shutting up now. Charlie tried to squirm out beneath him and speak him, but he wasn't having it. I've fallen in love with some of the folks down here, and frankly, most of need therapy. Emily raised a tentative hand, unable to help herself. Even me? She was like a ray of sunshine against his stormy heart. Not you, Buttercup, you're perfect. Yay, Tilda, Kurama squawked. Velvet averted her gaze. Oi. Vaggie tucked her flushing face into a wing. Not freaking fair. The brief moment of levity was soon dashed by Charlie's sullen response. What does that have to do with killing Valentino? Everything. He butted heads with her, forcing a meep from her lips. I killed him to protect this hotel. To protect you. She stuck out her lip in a pout. I don't need your protection. Pride. This girl embodied pride, just like her old man. No? He all but spat the word. Then what would you have done if he brought an army of angry sinners to your doorstep? Charlie faltered. Well, I've done so much. I even made an angel fall, for Christ's sakes. He all but bit out the last word, thinking of loot. Do you think I planned that? He took a hand from her hip and dragged it down his face to stifle the snarl that threatened to bubble up within. That I wanted it. That I enjoyed watching her tears and listening to her beg for mercy. Because I didn't. But she didn't listen. No one listens. And now, apparently, Vox is sending his people after me and airing my every exploit on the TV like some kind of sinner sitcom scandal. As though the little shit doesn't have anything better to do. Because, again, he doesn't listen. Naruto, he rounded on her. You're not listening! More words twitched at the tip of his tongue, longing to be spoken. You're a child. Naive. Everyone can be redeemed. Don't make me laugh. That mindset will get you killed. Would you let just any monster into your hotel so long as they paid you lip service and be surprised when they stabbed you in the back? Foolish girl. He swallowed them all. Charlie looked hurt enough. Enough was right. Enough! Go. She trembled. What? Go to your room. He dropped her like a hot potato, sat her on the desk, and pointed upstairs. We'll talk when you've come to your senses. In the meantime, I have sinners to judge. What? No. Heat speared through her face. You can't just send me to my room. You're not my dad, and you're not my Naruto's already burning body burst into brilliant holy light. Vaji. His fellow angel was at his side in an instant. Sorry about this, babe. He's got a point. Traitor! Too late, the once-fallen angel scooped up her thrashing beloved like the princess she was, shot up the stairs like an arrow loosed from a bow, and vanished with her around the corner. And if Charlie kicked and screamed the entire way, well, Naruto pretended not to notice. Emily flew after the duo. I'll just check in on them. I'll be right back, promise. Wait, why did he sense a fleeting iota of jealousy from her just now? Still, upset princess contained. Issue temporarily tabled for now. Well, that went marvellously. A static-filled voice crackled behind him. I would have appreciated a bit more spirit-breaking, but still, good show. His right eye twitched. Alistair, I swear by the sage. Why the long face, my good fellow? You should be proud of yourself. The radio demon sauntered down the very same stairs Vaggie and Charlie had fled from, twirling his staff in hand. I knew you were a marvellous monster just waiting to be unleashed. I look forward to your next performance. He hunched his shoulders, refusing to look him in the eye. There won't be one. The cheeky bastard dared to poke his chest with said staff. Oh, but there will. You can't stop now. You've opened Pandora's box. What's next? Will you obliterate the overlords? Slay the sins? Alistair. He's right, you know. Behind him, Lute was looking at him with... Was that respect in her lone eye? That dirty sinner deserved what he got. She averted her gaze immediately thereafter. Still hate you. Wait, was she? DEFCON 1. Nuh-uh! Full stop! Naruto shuddered. Nope. We are not doing this. She scowled at him. Doing what? I hate you and you hate me. That's how it's going to stay. What are you on about? Moving on! He clapped his hands and pivoted away from the actual fallen angel. Let's clear the air real quick before anyone thinks I've gone crazy. Thusly speaking, he rounded on Kurama as she was the closest pulled on the memory of a gentleman's club he'd once seen, took her by the hand, raised it to his lips, and kissed the back of her knuckles. Worthy, she preened. Damn straight I am. Alistair rolled his eyes. Come along, Lute. It seems the entertainment has ended, for now. Naruto let him go, more concerned with other matters. He pointed at Angel Dust, Husk, and Serpentius in quick succession. Worthy, worthy, and worthy. The latter raised his hand. Worthy of what, sir? Redemption. What else? He laughed when Husk leaned back. Oh, come on. I'm still me. I'm not about to go exterminatus on the lot of you. Curiously specific threat there. Nifty bounded up and down. Ooh, me. What about me? Naruto raised a finger. Paused. Considered. Treading on a landmine there. To be determined. Now that just left. A fist slammed into his ribs. What the fuck was that? Grimacing, he looked down to find Velvet glaring daggers at him. Not you too. Shush! She grabbed him by the coat and gave him a shake. You killed Val, in cold blood. Cut him down if he was nothing. Is that all we are to you? Nothing? She stepped back and hugged one arm to herself, looked like she might actually cry, then rallied. No, don't answer that. Do you have any idea what you've fucking done? Vox is gonna lose his fucking mind! He probably already fucking knows. Who knows what and why? Why, she stamped a foot on his. He and Val were lovers, you dipshit. Well, that was a problem. Still better calm her down and quick before she ran off. He caught her hand in his and ran his fingers over the back of her knuckles. Does that help? She flushed. Stop that. Trying to be mad at you. Promise me you won't make a habit of this. I'm not about to go on a murder spree. He raised both hands to ward off another swing. Honest. I'll just kill whoever deserves it, eh? That's fucking half of hell. This is the kind of shit I wanted to avoid. Naruto huffed. Then maybe you should have warned me that the moth was coming. Screw you, I didn't know. No, screw you. Screw you, Angel Dust gulped. Should we go? I think we should go. These two need a room. Naruto and Velvet rounded on him. Bite me! Kinky Tilda. Tilda. Meanwhile, Tilda. Vox dropped his remote and stared at the screen before him. The lifeless image within didn't waver. Val?